do, Fortnite fam? Welcome to the Fortnite Champions Series. It's time for Qualifier 3, baby. The last opportunity to try and make a spot for your trio going straight into finals, or hope to goodness you have enough series points to take you into semis. This is it. The last stop right before semifinals, reboot round, and the finals. It's all happening right here, right now. You know we had to bring the very best along. We got Reese, we got Levin. Boys, my heart, I don't know that I could take it.
Look, what I'll say to you, Zeke, I know it's the last qualifier, and you know, it is sad in that sense because it seems like there's a bit of finality here. But what I will say is we are just that bit closer to the finals, and that's the most exciting time of the season, right? So we're getting closer to that stage. I'm looking forward to it. This last qualifier should be intense. It should be fun. Everything you expect from the FNCS.
Yeah, the last qualifier is always good too, right? You've seen those first two qualifier weeks, 6 teams have gone through. This is the final opportunity for those more teams just to make sure they manage to make it through. And for the teams who don't, obviously there is the semifinals to try and make their way through, but it's always one of the spiciest qualifiers, I think.
Ooh, the spice is nice. I do like this. Now, we'll get into games in just a little bit, but as you guys know, we got to talk about things. We got to talk about the broadcast. We got to talk about prize money. We got to talk about the active champions. There's nothing that I don't like talking about, so we're going to get into it in just a moment. First off, watch.fortnite.com. It's what you're watching right now, but you also have the leaderboards. So if you like being able to see our beautiful faces, also have leaderboards going at the same time so you don't, miss a single thing, watch.fortnite.com. Okay, let's talk about the overall tournament bracket. If you guys have been with us, especially starting out the season, you're pros at this. You're not going to get scared. This graphic is going to pop up and you're just going to feel at home. You're going to feel at peace. Now, for you guys that are new, welcome to the broadcast. It's fantastic that you're hanging out with us. Now, I know a lot to be scared about, but don't worry, just look left. Okay, you see that qualifiers? Qualifiers 1, 2, 3, right? I just said this is qualifier 3. That's where we're at, Reese.
That's where we're at, indeed. I'm going to go for it.
I would have never figured out where we were if it wasn't for you. We are at qualifier 3, round 4. The players had to play through 3 rounds prior to this, and now the top 33 players from round 3 are competing. We will be looking out for the top 3 teams today, right? The top 3 teams secure a spot in the finals of the FNCS. But it's not it, right? It's not it, because of outside of the top 3 teams, the teams who play today will receive points that account for the series leaderboard, and the top 99 teams on the series points leaderboard after this week will advance to the semifinals.
Yeah, you don't want to go there though. Let's be real. You want to be in the top 3, and this is how we're going to decide that today. You want to make sure you get all of the points that you physically possibly can, and this is the format right here. As soon as you see in that bottom right, as soon as you hit the top 24, if you get in there between that to 18th, you're going to gain your first placement, which is 5 points. Then every single placement threshold, again, 17, 16, you gain more and more points, all the way up until first, that victory royale, which will gain a 30 points total for your placement. If you notice right at the bottom, you'll also get 2 points per elimination. So they all add up, all your placement points, all your elimination points across the 6 games, and that will decide our winners.
Now, in case you guys don't know what's at stake, going into those finals, we've got prize money. But the more important thing is the active champions. I myself flew out, found this gold somewhere in the world, brought it back, digitized it, crafted the Axe of Champions in all of its glory, then placed it inside Fortnite with the proper approval process and said, this is now the greatest trophy that anyone could ever wish for themselves. So again, this is all for finals, right? Right now, there's a couple things we got to talk about because Qualifier 3, one last shot. But first, we saw the 7 regions. 2 of those have already wrapped up. So let's take a look at their standings. We're kicking things off. We got Asia, we got OCE. We can see how things went in these other 2 regions. Right there, we got Moo, we got Flutter, we got Alba, 181 points. I feel like for me, Reese, Asia is this region that I love so much, and there's just so many anomalies. I feel like the talent pool is quite wide in Asia.
Yeah, it definitely is. A lot of times you look at the top of the leaderboards, they're always different, right? You see a lot of names reappearing, and sometimes you just see a lot of new names that are always up there too. And then, for example, in third, you got Alan and Shamoki alongside Leaner as well. And Alan and Shamoki are last season's FNCS champions, and they ended up disbanding because their ex-teammate Force actually moved over to our region, over here in EU. So they picked up Leaner this time, and this week they managed to actually make it through in third. So they've managed to get themselves a ticket straight through to finals, which is fantastic for them. So we could potentially see a 2 times FNCS champion from these guys.
Let's take a look down under though, right? Oceania also has taken place, and at the top of the leaderboards, not a surprise to see Jinx, Alec, and Worthy. One of the top teams. I've hailed them as one of the top teams. Many people who are familiar with OC know that they are one of the best teams in the region, and they finally solidified their spot in the finals. I was getting a bit concerned, I'll be honest. I was getting a bit concerned, right? The first 2 qualifiers, they struggled to sort of get that top 3, but they finally done it. Similar sort of path to how they sort of did it last season, right? If you look last season, they sort of struggled in the first couple qualifiers, and I believe they were able to get get that top 3 eventually in Qualifier 3. So now it's going to be good to see them there. They ain't got to get through semi-finals. There's no risk there. They are guaranteed nailed on for that finals.
Yeah, I think it'd be weird also to see a finals without these guys, right? You've got
100%.
Jinx, who's a frequent FNCS champion. I remember going all the way back to Chapter 2, Season 2, watching him in duos, and then, of course, coming into the solo seasons after that. And then when he started picking up things in trios, being super, super dominant with this trio and with the Gubos' ex-trio mate as well. So if they weren't even managed to make it, it would definitely be a huge upset for the region.
That's right. And I wanted to take a very quick look at qualifier number 2. So this was a qualifier that happened last week to kind of talk through the top 3 that did move on. We have some cool highlights coming out. I mean, guys, Thomas HD, what more can we say?
Well, there wasn't much to say about them on the day. They were rather pedestrian, to be fair, out of Dirty Docs. But there was plenty to say about the team that was giving them plenty of issues. Seti, Cammy, and Teak actually were able to qualify for the finals. Big whoop, surprise, happy days, because last season, Reese, it was just so tragic for them, right? They seemed like one of the best teams in the region, but they failed multiple times to actually make it. Reboot round, second place curse was just not, good enough. They really struggled, but now they're going to be in the finals. They're nailed on. I'm really happy to see them make it there.
Yeah, and they're obviously one of the best teams in the region. Our favorites, maybe not favorites, but one of the top favorites that we have in there as well. And last season, it was tough for them, obviously, not to see them make it through the finals. It was really heartbreaking, actually, to see the consistency they put out. But the team who did make it through last season and this season as well was Kiriachi, Stormy and Toos. They put on an absolutely incredible, consistent performance. And, we've covered these guys in a little video on them as well, so you can check that one out. They've done so well last week. And honestly, they're like an absolute treat to watch.
Yeah, and speaking of treats, right? Speaking of treats from Pride, a good treat is usually a surprise, right? And this team was a surprise. Mappy, Exteriors, Red Rush. These guys definitely weren't a team who, going into last week, you would have said to yourself, yep, they win the qualifier and they, secure the spot in the finals. But they did, and in spectacular fashion. These guys were incredibly impressive to watch. If you can see here, right, they finished the day with 162 points, more than anybody else, up there ahead of everyone in terms of eliminations as well. These guys really put on the show, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they fare in the finals.
Yeah, and realistically, some of the teams who didn't manage to make it through, Bobby versus Fly, along with Vino, Tayson, and Reason, have both made it here today. So they're going to be top picks, no doubt, coming through into just qualifier number 3. Some of the other teams like Floki, Clement, Deceptos now, I think, are in the lead on our series point leaderboard, so are definitely making it through to the semis. They're not going to make it through to an instant final, so we'll see them next week as well. So top teams we saw perform last week, we're definitely going to see some today and see some in next week as well.
Yeah, look, both of those teams, right, in 4th and 5th are definitely going to be 2 teams to watch out for. They're very familiar with the territory, and they're going to want to auto-call, right? You don't want to play in the semis. You want to make it straight to the finals, and they have a great chance of doing so.
Yeah, that's right. Let's take a look at the list of 33 trios we'll be seeing in today's games. Now, key thing to note here, if you look at the left side, we see these little logos, that FNCS logo. That means that this trio has played in a previous FNCS qualifier. So we can kind of gauge the new faces as well as returning faces. And we got to remember as well, with qualifiers 1 and 2, we have 6 total trios that have auto-qualified through to final. So that means these POIs, once again, up for grabs. How are you guys feeling coming into the competition, Levin? I mean, there's a lot of brand new faces, and this being like their first time in it to make it to a round 4, like there's so much pressure right now, man.
Oh yeah, 100%. Some exciting names as well. You can see a bunch of the players who played in previous qualifiers, sort of in a similar sort of line of what I was talking about before, where, very familiar with the territory, should understand how it is to play these games, and should have a foundation to build off of in terms of improving on your mistakes. Of course, there are many more players, so we will take a look at that next page, right? Page 2, because I'm sure there's going to be even bigger names there as well, Reese.
Yeah, 2 we already mentioned, Bobby versus Fly, go alongside Vino, Tayson, Reason. Super, really good performances for them previous weeks, alongside Kezek, ZQ, and Falconley as well. So top teams that we're definitely expecting should be performing today. But again, more teams who haven't made it here. Wolfie, Freemock, and Letwick right at the bottom, well, second from the bottom there as well. A team who definitely needs to perform well today as well.
Yeah, they're going to be an interesting team to watch out for. Let's take a look at page 3. Maybe there'll be some more interesting teams, or there are more interesting teams, as there always is in the round 4 of an FNCS. Ziku, Sun, Jules, these guys are going to be a very interesting team to watch. I'm sure we'll talk about them more when we get to the drawing board segment, but uncontested at Kai Corner should be interesting to see how they do. Vetlake, Crizzy, Stursticks, a team who I was so high on a couple seasons ago, and I've really been looking forward to seeing their progression. Will this be the week they show it? Maybe, maybe not, but that's always the question mark you have for a lot of the teams. Pablo, Bloomy, Tomzy, they're just goated, right? I'm just expecting the world-class performance. It's Bloomy. I'm expecting a world-class performance, as always, with Bloomy. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay. Now, of course, you know it's my favorite segment on the show. It's time to draw, baby. We're going to talk about all these trios that where they might be going, what trios might be going head-to-head, the matchups. And of course, you know, Reese, I feel like the thing that we got to talk about this week is the fact that Coral Castle has been abducted, which is going to change the POI pretty considerably, at least for this week. What are your thoughts coming into the competition? Is Coral that hotspot that some of these trios should have an eye on?
It is. And if you know anything about me, if you've watched any of these broadcasts, if you've watched any of my personal stuff, you know I am not a fan of Coral Castle, purely not because it's a bad drop spot by any means, but for competitive trios at the highest level, it has so many issues in terms of Storm Surge, the time it takes to loot, the metal can be difficult there too, and usually we don't see teams performing that well from Catty Corner in this area in particular at this level of play. However, with this week, with the fact that it's changed, there's now an additional 10 supply crates there. You have the additional cars that are in that area too. You also have the low gravity areas and the fixed launch pads there too, so you can loot it quicker, you can rotate in there faster. This is now a really, really good drop spot, and this is where Freemock, Wolfie, and Letwick are dropping as well. So with them being a super aggressive team, I don't see them struggling with Storm Surge too much either out here. So we could, for the first time, see a big performance coming out of Coral Castle.
Look, this would be the week to do it. I'm going to draw 3 circles. Now, I'm not doing a 3-corner map challenge, right, when I draw on these POIs, but I do want to highlight the teams here, right? First team up at Steamy Stacks, Podosite, Nikov, Wanlast, a team who I'm very high on. I do believe these guys are, you know, have all the fundamentals and the makings of a really top trio. Podosite, Wanlast in the past played with a Mexan, usually would impress me here and there out. Nikov as well, such a veteran player, you know, one of the best players coming out of France we've seen in the game. I'm expecting them to figure out their Storm Surge issues, which they struggled with. Storm Surge issues aren't something I normally, you know, sort of identify with a team Nikov plays on. And so hopefully they can sort that one out. Down in Misty Meadows though, right? Andalex, Forziark, Squeeze. If you follow Fortnite, you know what these guys are about. These guys are some of the biggest names in Fortnite history, and I'm really expecting them to show out, right? Misty Meadows, uncontested. This should be their week to really show people that they are one of the top trios and should be feared going into an FNCS finals, as long as they can make it here if they get top 3. And Holly Hatchery, right? Kezix, ZQ, Falconly. When you're talking about skill level, right? Just raw skill and talent, these guys have it all. They have it all, man. And the thing is as well, fan favorite, I love ZQ. ZQ is someone he's just the personality that you want to see win, right? Such a nice guy. So hopefully out of Holly Hatchery, these guys can do well. Also, all 3 of them French speaking, right? What a coincidence. The Frenchies always top players, yeah.
No, they're very, very big in Fortnite and big in esports in general, right? From the country. So, last point. Where's Mongrel landing? Where's Mongrel going? I know everyone's asking the question, where's Mongrel going? Retail row at this point. He's got Kiko and Slender with him. However, he is contested at this point by Hatim, Lawless, and Wiseup, who are a little bit more creative warrior times, who are just getting into competitive a little bit more. Obviously, a bit more experience than that. So it's going to be a really interesting battle off spawn there. Maybe give it to Mongrel's team off spawn, but I think it could be a really close one.
Look, it will be a difficult fight, and I think everybody is happy to see Mongrel back in the grandest of stages. Kiko and Slender here with him as well. Clearly, Finex had the blueprint, right? You got, you know, Mongrel surrounded by 2 great Portuguese players, and it seems to be going well. There's been some progression. There's definitely been some progression. You can look at the stats here. Yesterday in round 3, these guys were phenomenal, right? They played 7 games. You know, you can play more, but they only had to play the 7 to come first place. And in 6 of those games, right, they were top 5, right? That is ridiculous, right? Top 5 in 6 of the 7 games they played. You know, they've not played in any of the previous, you know, round 4s, which is something to note, right? Maybe they're not going to be able to handle this level, but an average placement of 4 in round 3 is absolutely phenomenal. And it'll be interesting to see how they fare, because I think there are still some key, you know, missing parts of this trio, places where they need to prove to me that they are one of the elite trios, but this is that time to sort of show it.
Yeah, man, a lot of eyes and a lot of pressure on this trio, absolutely. But really quickly, before we jump into game, we got to talk about these predictions, which of these trios we think could make one of these top 3 spots at the end of Qualifier. Number 3, Levin, Podosai, Nikov, and Wanlast. Do tell.
Allez Blue, I'm backing the boys. I'm hoping that they can figure out their Storm Surge issues, and out of Steamy Stacks, I think it's a good POI. I think they should do well today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going Vino, Taste and Reason. Let's be real, some of the best teams out there in the entire region right now. We've talked about them a huge ton. I don't think we should really go in depth, but with Shio's team, he's going with Andalex, Forziar, and X-Squeeze, and then Sancho's going with Wolfie's, Milan, and Marine. All super good picks.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Guys, this is insane. I'm already stressed. You guys know me. I stress way too much. Speaking of stress, it's almost that time. We're going into game. You can see the timer up here. Sancho West and Shy Wager, they're going to be our casters. They'll be seeing us through all the action. We'll be breaking it down between games with Reese and Levin. But for now, it's time to begin qualifier number 3. So you know where we're going. We're going to the boys. Let's launch on the battle bus. There we go.
Thank you so much, Zeke, Levin, and Reese. Now, for the last few weeks, we've watched these EU trios dance. You know, from the UK to Norway, all the way to France. Today is their last chance. Welcome to the FNCS. This is EU's Qual, week number 3.
And that is Shio Wager. I am Sancho West, going to bring you all the action. And Shio, this has to be one of the most stacked qualifiers we had in the EU region. And they already mentioned all the names. They already mentioned what's on the line. But we all got to watch for that top 3.
Yeah, the end of the arc for some up-and-comers, the peak for all these teams who've mixed and matched and now have their last kind of run to see if they can skip the semifinals, go all the way to finals, and just achieve greatness. We'll tune in with Tayson, Reason, Vino. I mean, 4, 4, 4 over and over again. You know, how lovely is that? Not really, when top 3 is what makes you all the way to the finals, Sancho. These guys have all the pressure on the line.
And no doubt we're going to be talking about them this whole entire time. And Mongrel is picking up a knock as well. So we're going to be highlighting Mongrel as we're seeing that battle happen as Lowless picks up a knock against Mongrel's trio. But that battle is unfolding in Retail Row. And also I saw in the feed, Wolfie's trio picking up a knock against Sapphics trio down there in Dirty Dock. So all the action's already starting up hot. And Tayson is, per usual, starting up hot and picking on Coral Castle.
Yeah, before he was all the way up on the pier looking for some big damage. Now to the Spire, you see the drop is kind of elevated and changed over the weeks. But at the same time, when you have notoriety like this, when you inspire fear in the rest of EU, you get to have a little bit more of a greedy split on your drop. Let's see exactly what these guys can do now that they're even more advanced.
We definitely have to take an eye on Wolfies if we could get all the way over to that area, because we're seeing now Wolfies has been eliminated.
Absolutely. He goes down, fully wiped out. We go right back towards that Retail Row fight with Mongrel. Feels like I'm in Season X, but this is Chapter 2. This is completely new. Wiseup and Lowless versus Kiko and Mongrel will be a 2v2.
Now, this is going to be the most interesting moment here. These battles that we have here, the drop spot contestants of Retail Row. We've seen Mongrel have these battles before in the qualifier earlier rounds, and it's been sloppy, and it's going to get a little bit more sloppier because the Be Genius Trio is here alongside with Ziku is here in this fight, and Mongrel gets knocked.
B, move out the way. A huge car comes through past the hills. B Genius is here. They're going to be looking smart for the moment, but we'll tune right back to that in a second. Too much to handle, Sancho. That fight is going to be massive.
I got to say, man, look at this number. It's been 294 days since we last seen Mongrel in a set lobby. That is November 1st, 2020. That is how long it's been since the Mongrel fans have been waiting to rise.
Yeah, that's the way. A little bit more, though. A few technical difficulties in the background, but we could podcast it down for now, Sancho. Lots of things to talk about on the day, right? We talked about Tayson coming in. You're interested in that Mongrel beef. We'll have 6 games of it the entire time, right? Bobby Fly and Versa, another team coming in, I believe 5th or at least in the top 6 overall last qualifier too. I mean, that's another team that's looking for finals that just kind of made the chance.
And no doubt, I mean, that momentum that could definitely carry them over when they first came into the qualifiers. They finished in 19th place. You mentioned they finished in 4th place. That momentum could definitely take them. Hey, not to mention, for those of you that didn't tune in last week, it was by far the wildest finish we ever had. Our top 3 actually went down in the opening moments of Game 6. And that basically let the whole barn door wide open for the top 6 to come on in to get into that top 3.
Yeah, it was like a true battle royale, like the way early days. You never actually expected what could happen in that game 6. But past that too, right, what Levin was talking about on the desk right there, all the French trios rolling in. I think, Sancho, one of the most interesting things is that everyone around them is like contested. They are free. That is a recipe for big success, especially for Search.
Yeah, we had Malibuka kind of going in there. We had other like Floki's trio kind of landing in there. It was very messy at the very beginning. You had like 50-50 people fighting for floor loot. So, hey, if you get that uncontested, they definitely have some work to go with. But my storyline watching that trio out of Analyx, 4ZR, and Exqueezes, 4ZR had a auto qualification going into the finals this season, but Tayson disbanded 4ZR and Nate as well. And so this is now 4ZR's opportunity. And considering that it's one of those newly formed trios, and yeah, most likely they get in through the semifinals route if they don't work out here in the top 3. Still, you got to root for 4ZR to make it through.
Hopefully 4ZR or Tayson, whichever side you're on, they're both here playing today, Sancho, right? That's the most exciting thing. 3 spots up for grabs. I'm counting more than even 10, 15 teams who could possibly take that today, right? Qual 3s where all those good teams who like to punish mistakes, who like to, stay on height, Aqua, are not here right now. They're going to let you breathe a little bit the entire time, right? They don't have to be good as they are on cardio compared to the earlier weeks, but at the same time, there's only 3 slots, right? So these guys, that's a very good point, are going to be battling for it. Ex-teammates at the same time all across the map. You got Crizzy as well, who used to be a part of that trio, who's kind of split up in terms of his past. He's contested completely at Weeping Woods too. It seems like all these teams who are kind of rolling in last chance have a very first battle to take off the bus.
And that's what's going to come down to what's going on in game 1. Of course, we're going to work through some of those issues that we're having. We really appreciate you hanging out here. And we're just breaking down all the storylines that are happening around the map. The boys on the desk kind of talked about Mongo's return. And the thing we got to talk about is, Tayson's trio alongside with Vino and Reason. I mean, Vino recently signed to Falcon. I mean, no doubt, a lot of pressure on Vino. We've seen on social media him having those issues and trying to get up to the pressure. But I think Vino definitely has it in him to meet the challenge here this week.
Well, they got the potential, but Sancho, what are these guys doing? You know what I mean? Like week after week, they seem so close, and then just kind of put the brakes on this insane train they have, just that's chugging through the entire lobby, round and round and round the map they go. But for some reason, they get derailed all the way at the very end. We'll get some updates on trios that might have gone down across the map, and that Mongrel fight especially. I would assume with a third party there and just 2 trios down already, something mean and bad possibly happened in that classic POI. But for now, we'll tune in with Swag. 1v2, it looks like over here, a little bit of a kerfuffle all the way at one of the disc stations. It'll be slightly central towards the map. He'll have a chance to kind of climb back, but time's running out, Sancho, and time is the most important thing inside the FNCS.
No doubt, this is the Defiant Dish area where Ingram usually drops here. Ingram making a 3rd appearance alongside with his trio in the qualifiers, and Swag is part of those trios that are just newly formed. A lot of the leftover pieces of the movement when it comes to the EU region. And of course, he's going against Dandif and Devin, a part of another trio coming around here, normally landing in the Aftermath area, but you're seeing it all unfold here. Multiple trios here, no doubt. Zone most likely here, but I've never seen this many trios center here, Shayo.
Not at all. I mean, everyone is trying for a chance, right? They've learned from their mistakes from the previous weeks. We've seen a lot of these guys who might be rolling in a little bit middle of the pack or first time FNCS qualifier finals. Like you're going to be bad on Surge. You're not going to be playing, aggressive enough, maybe a little bit too passive. They're all jumping the gun. They're all looking for that engagement as fast as possible. As a result, it's going to get a little bit too messy. They'll stay organized and keep clean.
Some action that's well in the feed as you're seeing right here. That's what I was going to talk about. The team landing in the Flush Factory is moving over, and they're having a battle here. Actually, it's the Misty Metals team coming over to the Flush. It's Andelix Squeeze here, down 4ZR. He's been eliminated, and they already got 1 elimination, so it looks like there was a trade happening, but this is a battle between JoJo's trio and Andelix's trio, and hey, I think right now, Andelix, considering that they have a newly formed trio, and everyone's been wondering when can Andelix get back into form, this is the way to do it if he's able to come into the top 3.
Absolutely. They look to just keep pounding over here with X-Squeeze. I mean, for JoJo, this just has to be a completely bizarre adventure. Imagine game number 1, they roll in, Flush Factory, looking at the drop spot map, and there's not going to be any issues. Unfortunately, Stasio will try to hold things down as well. Looks like there might have been a little bit of switches in terms of who's dropping here entirely too. But you get bullied by Andelix and Squeeze and 4ZR within the first minute of the game, Sancho. You kind of want to go back to sleep. Why did we wake up for this FNCS?
Yeah, and that's kind of a very interesting development when it comes to the Misty Metals team actually moving this far out so aggressively to Flush Factory. Be interesting to see what gave him that green light to push in so aggressively. Normally, you see a Misty Metal team go to Lazy Lake.
And now we'll tune in to the big boys, Reason, Vino, Tayson, whether it's a car or an inflatable, one of the most exciting items added this season. We'll see exactly how fast they can get their game online.
And they're going to have to definitely shake off some of that, like you mentioned, that 4th-place woes here. And now they're going to go ahead and push into Weeping Woods. And this is not an easy trio to go up against. It's Fremok's trio. And we all know what Fremok could do when he has a legendary pump in his hand. We got to know what he has, but you got to watch out. Fremok could definitely put you on the highlight reel.
There'll be a few sparks clashing between both these trios, bashing against each other. But at the same time, I don't think any of these topples is going to be knocked over. It's going to be easy for these guys just to disengage, look for a little bit of damage against each other, and then move on with their day.
just to give you an update on the rest of the trios that have been eliminated. Mongo's trio has been eliminated from Retail Row. You have Swag, who's just got eliminated. We saw Swag by himself. Nail's trio has been eliminated. Lola's trio and Wisep, that has been eliminated as well. And as well, Wolfie's trio eliminated out there doing that Cammy split. My pick to proceed into the top 3, considering that they had a great shepherd into that Cammy split, I thought they would definitely be an opportunity to get into the top 3 into the finals.
And there goes Stasio finally out from Coop's position here too. Just look at this vantage point. He can basically have a conversation, a one-way conversation, Sancho, with any trio on the map. I think the scariest one to look out for is the one right below these guys in Gorgeous Gorge. Bobby, Fly, Versa. I would say, one of the most invisible trios we've kind of been watching. They've just played so well across every week, just had some of the best average placement inside their games as well. They've been really good in Qual 2, especially. Today, though, they're going to have to do better than ever before and hit that top 3. That'll be the thing, though, that you have to, be a little bit more than just invisible. You have to try to achieve greatness, make plays for height, not just be completely consistent, because we've seen it so far. The consistent trios, as well as they do perform, every single trio has one pop-off game, one double elim to kind of push them all the way towards the top.
You talked about, being invisible. That has to definitely be the Stir6 and Vettel coming from the Play Well organization. We all thought, a couple of seasons ago, they have the ability to make some noise. We're all putting some money in the bank. I mean, I remember me and Sundown casting them, talking about their hip-to-hip fighters, adding Crizzy. And now Crizzy is in danger of the lobby focus. They're going to have to hold some walls as in comes the beams and bullets. Yeah, wow. Levin kind of mentioned them at the opening. They were talking about Crizzy, where are these guys? And right now, already tough in a tough spot.
I don't even think they know where they are for the moment, man. Those shots came in so fast, got them just moving in 360 degrees. ADN, Amplify, Matzo really putting on the pressure.
Yeah, AEM, Matzo, Amplify. That's one of those trios we haven't seen together since back in November 2020. When Benji took over Matzo and Amplify, took it away from ADN. We were wondering, when would this historic trio come back together? They're here back together again. They're okay this entire season, Sayo, but this may be that opportunity to get into top 3. They're not favorite to get in, but they definitely have the experience and the know-how to do so.
Absolutely. You can say the same for Savid. Astro, right, Fly? I feel like quals aren't exactly, and even semifinals aren't exactly their style, though. These guys are one of those reboot trios we like to watch who, try their best week after week, have these upper echelon of teams just keep them down, or the changes they might not, adapt to fast enough. But when that reboot round comes around, this is one of those teams that can definitely win a game. They'll have to win 2 or maybe even more here today, and it's not going to be the same stakes regardless. Big fights all across the map. DKS up against another fight once again. Fast Roki's here with Void. They were chilling in the base, but it seems like Surge has kind of make these Gophers come out of their holes and look for some damage. Look to see how the entire Sun is looking for the moment on the field, and boom, a big tack shotgun onto DKS. He does escape, but at the same time replies back with a shot of his own. Void is reacting perfectly to every single angle available to him, and as a result, these guys clean up the fight.
When you got that legendary tack, all you got to do is just have it out and just keep spamming it everywhere, getting some big hits everywhere. And that is what you want to see. Erica now all alone here trying to avoid the madness. But I was going to say, Shayo, there's so many other trios that are just historically performing in the middle, as Void now is in full pursuit of Erican, and Void is trying to get away. He still has that power of that legendary tack. But yeah, what I've been seeing is so many trios in the middle of the pack. They do have that opportunity to get in the top 3. They have the history, they have the background that are always in the finals, and Void, Fast Roki, and Karma are one of those trios as well.
And here's another one, Link, Fury, Ira, Zumi. These guys were holding first last week for a couple of games and finally dwindled off a little bit after the fact. Can they use that early, boost, the speed, and hold on to it for the entire 6 games, or will they fizzle out by 3 is the question.
Oh, here we go, folks. This is that team that was always coming in the top 4, coming against a team that's trying to reclaim their glory. And that's Matzo's trio holding that line right there. So Tayson's gonna have to try to find a way to get through this obstacle. May decide to go on the low ground. Does have the inflator bowl and some launch pads to decide to. Maybe they have the supply drop in their sights. Got to be careful here. It's a big investment to get the supply drop. No doubt will give them some mobility. May get an additional launch pad, but hey, that was pretty almost free. Almost free. I mean, you got a couple of tags, sure, but still, like, come on, like, you see someone rotating, you want to take some shots, more shots at them. Come on now.
I think they know exactly who it is and what will happen if they take a few shots and might get focused towards the end of the game. Who knows? At the same time, just the start of that rotation on the mini map, from that perspective, you couldn't even see the safe zone just yet. For Nikov, One Loss, and Podesai, different situation equation entirely. They were landing all the way towards the top right side of the map, Steamy Stacks. They're gonna have no issues coming in from the north side, but right on the zone line, this might be a toll that may be too expensive to pay.
No doubt, and this is their third appearance in the qualifiers. We'll keep an eye if this French trio can actually make it through. You talked about the switch. They were in Coral Castle last week. Now they're coming over back to Steamy Stacks. I mean, the first time they were at Steamy Stacks in the first qualifying week, they had an abysmal showing. They had a 25 place finish with only 60 points, and they literally only got 10 eliminations throughout the entire week in Qualifier 1. But what's at stake right here, folks, is the top three, and you've seen teams like Eclipse's trio who are making their first appearance into the qualifiers. They're trying to make their way through. As you've seen Tayson now trying to make his way through, and look at all their mats they're investing so far. I mean, every time we come to this POV style, I'm just seeing mats and mats and mats being expended.
I mean, you can go for it right now. You can, rely on a refresh afterwards as well. It's not that bad of a decision at all. You want to have the best, what's it called, foundation built down before any mistakes can happen or sprays come through. This is the time you want to get greedy, and then after this is where you want to maybe end up playing it slightly safe.
Hey, I don't know, man. The safe rotation, that may not be an option. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that mini map. 4 trios just directly in that white line space. You got Pablo's trio. You have Amplify's trio. You got Bobby's trio making their way through already, and they're getting greedy with tags. So that's the path right now for Tayson's trio to go through.
We'll see exactly what route they take. They've had a few successful rotations already. This will be the tricky one. If you're just joining us right now, too, this is game number 1 of the last week to qual. That means lots of drop spots open because top trios are already in the finals. That also means wins matter so much. Every moment matters so much more. You can skip the grueling process of semifinals and go all the way towards the finals and that top prize.
Just to give you an update, Playwell trio alongside with Crizzy, who we saw on that backside of the rotation, making their way through the canyons, just what Tayson went through, Shio. They're out. So that's what's showing you how dangerous this rotation Tayson's making. But while we're on board with Bobby, who are just a little bit ahead, closer to the safe zone of Tayson.
Yeah, and this is mid-game if you're not really familiar with what the checklist kind of looks like, especially in this situation in the 4th zone. What these guys basically want to do is make it in that white circle on the mini-map, but at the same time not use as many materials because there's a whole nother game to play Sancho right after this is over. You want to make sure you have the best position, you're still doing damage, taking none, and managing your resources absolutely efficiently.
Absolutely. You're seeing right now, we just crossed the placement point threshold. Placement points have been doled out, 5 points. That's why you see Flash here with 5 right there. Now we got a great overview is what all of our trios have to work through. It feels like everybody, I said this last week, is literally in a lane, and you're seeing all the investment, a lot of hard mats, and you're seeing a taste of what the high ground's looking at. Now we have old Amos's trio right here and a scrum where that big complex is, Shio.
Yeah, and this huge complex. I like the fact that you mentioned high ground as well. The higher you are right now in these boxes, the more control you kind of have over what you can see, what you can do. You can force people to move before you as well. So trios like Save It looking so good. Every time Old looks up right now, every name you see is in a much better spot than they are. They're down low, Sancho, way beneath that poverty line of success, at least in this zone for the moment. And they're having lots of trouble inside the economy of the materials. It's getting deleted over and over. They're getting spammed now. Backside to a wall they can't even build on. This is dangerous.
No doubt, and One Loss's trio has been eliminated. You've seen Fremont getting knocked in the feet and eliminated, but you're right here. So much is being expended to put up this defense to avoid the lobby focus. And now, Zone 5, the half in and half out has been revealed. Old aim assist, no doubt, being true to his name, is 440 above the storm damage threshold. So they're going to have to make their way through on this rotation here. It's going to be very difficult considering, look at the rest of the lobby that's on their backside.
Yeah, look at how the wealthy thrive. Irazumi Fury just looking for any shots possible, and MXR below them. Even Xenolith right now, his HP so low. Not used to seeing that, but it's Storm Surge that's raining down lightning from above, giving them the trouble. That mechanic, if you're not doing enough damage, you start taking damage from the server. It's meant to get players active, and right now, Tayson is only 57 above Sancho. They need more.
Yeah, no doubt. They need more, and they're on the hunt, and they know they're seeing the purple lightning strike down. That's going to give them a big target. And now you're seeing Vino and Tayson trying to barrel stuff their way through, trying to wall place as much as possible. Reason now on the front side of this attack. He's getting some shots here. Down goes another opponent there. That's Monkey getting knocked from Vino, and Zeno is getting eliminated. You talked about when you got that pressure coming from up above, Shio, but you cannot forget the pressure from the players in the lobby as well. And take a look at that. All the trios are making their way through. There's about 6 or 7 trios not in the safe zone.
Yeah, time to get all the way towards the safe station of the zone. So many, you're right, Sancho, aren't in just yet, and people are dropping like flies. Bloomy knocked down. Eric and now finally succumbs to what looks like Trident on the right side of the feed right there. Now you see it from Fraction's POV. It is chaos in the mid ground. Everyone's looking for any opportunity to not only get a few search tags, but to claim their ground. There's not enough room, Sancho, for all these trios to live in this circle.
You talked about that height. That's going to be a huge factor considering the mountainous area all around. Any kind of elevation, and look, it's going to go south off this elevation a little bit closer to Lazy Lake. So the people that are sitting on the high ground, like you mentioned, Save It, as Mosh is getting knocked in the feet, that is a trio that we're going to keep an eye on, is who's up there. The trios like Tasteless Trio, as you're seeing here, they're picking up some huge eliminations on the backside of the storm. We got to see how they're going to navigate and make this rotation, because look, they've got max pull.
Yeah, it's not even navigation. This is excavation, Sancho. Max pull, zone's kind of angling upwards, and every single trio, including Tastin, they're like underground right now. A launch pad can boost you all the way up. That's exactly what they'll do. 4th place from last week, rolling in. Versa right beside them, but right now it's anyone's game. Blaster, Yaxo, Nakos, they have the best one. They have ultimate high ground.
Talk about some old names in the region holding on to height as all the launch pads now contesting it. Save It trying to glide on through, trying to assess if he could take it. And as you're seeing on the front side ahead of the storm, it's Bobby's trio here. So Nakos, Blaster, Yasso, yes, they have the height, but they are behind the storm here. And all these gliding people can head on over and retake height as Nakos is trying to defend here. But this will be interesting. It's Putrick. Putrick here is on top contesting Nakos. And Putrick there is going to push down Nakos, Blaster and Yaxo to a lower level.
He's gonna go try to play a little bit safe. The out of materials too, they invested so much, gonna be inside height. It just has one more box left overall and is kind of split over from his teammates, but they'll be able to find him soon and possibly split Mats. Oh no, traffic jam in the way. They're not gonna be able to find anything inside this layer. Have to break down again on this IQ. Big shots, Jules in front of him too, but he blocks himself with the backwards ramp. Another shot from Nakos, and he finally goes down. Too much pressure when you lose high ground.
The high ground expended so many mats, and they went down into the chaos, fighting their way through as Amplify gets an elimination on Nakos. So that was Amplify greeting them, and here is Yaxo all by himself. Like I mentioned, an old name down from the World Cup days. Yaxo here trying to reclaim some glory here in Season 17.
And now we're moving also all the way towards Gorgeous Gorge. It's going to get a little bit more rocky for all these trios. MX start taking big damage. Also note, so many people have built their own layers. It's tricky to survive. Sapphic has found no damage on any other trio, even after getting height. They're going down almost to Storm Surge for the moment. We'll have to kind of bust into their minis and possibly even that Chug Splash cannon. There are so many mats built out. So many people have skipped low ground, made their own layers. Height is so high. We don't usually see this, and there's no way this high ground trio can find any damage for the moment.
Can you imagine if anyone like Bobby's trio would just look up and see height taking Storm Surge damage? That would have been an easier green light, but we'll go more on that story and focus on the low ground here with Tayson.
Yeah, with a lack of influence on high ground, it all goes down to Tayson, who's controlling low. Another big shot. He dives back, 51 HP right now, but that Siphon will come in. This is a masterclass right now, Sancho.
Yeah, they're looking great. They're just above the low ground here, so they have the abilities to go down below, do some double edits. They're trying to protect that as well. You're seeing the cones come out here. They're not theirs, so they're doing their best to break it so they won't get double edited and pushed down themselves. They got their sights on iRez. iRez getting knocked from someone on the backside. Sorrento's getting that, and now you're seeing the rest of it. Sapphic still has height, though. No doubt, not a lot of damage, so no eliminations here. Let's see who has the advantage here on the low ground. You got Young Bob trio. You have second from height. That is Andalix, and 4CR still at full strength, and I'm just waiting for that trio to take height.
Yeah, on high ground right now, lots of noise to actually take it in the 6th zone, but not enough action right now for these guys to actually suppress any trio below them. As a result, so many teams still left alive in the 9th. Yaxel finally going down. What a clutch of placement overall. Andalex finds Vino on low. That's huge, but at the moment, Amplify, Matzo, and ADN, they can't make their way through. Sapphic and Putrick, I think they've lost, one of their teammates on the side. No, Centric is still there. Fastroki, though, has gone down, and Void, 5 elims. This trio has 10, Sancho. They're popping off.
That's huge. Last time they popped off, they got a victory royale and 15 eliminations in the last game to close out the qualifiers in week 1. Though it gets closed out, but still a huge game with 42 points. Putric and Sapphic here trying to close out Eclipse. It's a matter of moments here. This is game 1 here of the qualifiers 3, and it could go to Sapphics way, who were last time we saw them here, they were holding on, but it's Andalix way on the low ground. Sapphic takes a lot of fall damage. Andalix gets an elimination here. Andalix trying to turn back the hands of time, and Andalix is going to do a 1v3. He has the advantage. He's cranking up the height. This is it. Can Andalix be able to close out and say not so fast? A Putric and Default here. Default with the chug cannon, and wow, there it is. They were able to hold on, and they themselves had 11 eliminations and void that amazing push from Andalix there. But what a great start to the day, Shayo.
Hey, what we learned from that is that, yeah, Andalex, no one can stop you. A mountain has to be in the way to actually put this man down. No player is an equal match for this man, even 3 together in the end game. But nice try from him right there, Sancho. The most interesting thing about this game was just how long all these trios lasted towards the end.
Yeah, we had so many trios at the end game, and we were talking about the action. It's a stacked game here, Shayo, and I gotta say, I was quite surprised with the finish. And hey, Fastroki, that's a lot of eliminations there, man.
Yeah, we tuned in for just a moment, but they just absolutely popped off at the same time while we're watching Void try to survive, you know, all the way at the top. Centric, he's taken out X-Squeeze, he's taken out 5 people in a matter of moments. It was insane.
Yeah, all the insanity is unfolding here. It is game 1 here of the qualifying week, and we have to kick it to the analyst desk to break it all down. Zeke, Reese, Levin, tell us what you got.
Guys, great first game. Okay, Putric, Centric, Sapphic. I'm liking the victory royale that they end up, but that was really scary, Reese 11. I really feel like if Andalex, like the moment he picked off 1 elimination there, like that could have gone Andalex's way. But like they kind of said, Old Man Mountain is going to kind of definitely put up a very hard wall and say, look, friend, you got to also deal with me at the same time. You're fighting off these 2. And I think that combination was just too much.
Look, at the end of the day, right, it's like Shayo said, the only thing that can stop Andalex is a mountain, right? You know, who knows what would have happened if the mountain wasn't there in his way. Look, what I will say, right, to Sapphic, Default, Putric, congratulations. A great way to start the tournament. I don't want to overreact because we've seen some game 1 wins and things don't pan out, but you look at that trio, all incredibly talented. Let's call it what it is. Default, right, he didn't have the best end to last season, made some mistakes. This is his time to bounce back, you know, right his wrongs, and good way to start round 4, especially if you're trying to get an auto call spot.
Yeah, I think what's interesting also is, remember when we saw them towards the end of that second moving zone, they were below Storm Surge, despite the fact they had like 4 eliminations, I think, at that point as well. Then at the end, obviously, we just saw Default completely pop off up to, I think, 8 or 9 eliminations by himself, the whole team getting 11. So they saw a big Storm Surge warning, and they said, you know what, we're going down, we're getting elims, we're getting the points, and we're picking up the victory royale too.
He's looking for revenge. He's looking for revenge. He's out here trying to right the wrongs, like I said, you know what I mean? Great performance.
I love it. And you know what? That's the kind of steam we need. But again, we'll have to see if those game 1 curses hold true or if these guys can finally flip that curse on its head. Now, we did miss some things in the early games. We want to take a look at some of the things we missed on broadcast, talk through some of the head-to-head matchups that we did not anticipate going this way.
Well, I'll be honest, right? I don't know what I'm watching. Wolfies. Look, Wolfies is one of the best to ever do it, but this is insane. He picks up a knock, right, with the vehicle, but then, you know, a player jumps in his car and he's not able to handle it. Very odd stuff, very weird stuff there.
Yeah, it's weird. They tried to claim a lot of the cami splits. So you can see him landing a solo over there down at the dish, right? Obviously, he was contested on, so he just dipped out, and it didn't end up working out. But another fight that didn't end up working out, Mongrel's team again, going up against Hacktim's team. You can see the Mongrel's team actually had the advantage, right? They ended up picking up the majority of the eliminations while this first started, but you know what? Sometimes it doesn't always go that way when you're in a contested drop spot.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate because this is obviously one of the big fights that we're looking forward to seeing playing out. Mongrel on social media expressing his frustrations of being contested at this. But at the end of the day, you're an unknown quantity, and being an unknown quantity means teams like this team here, Jules, Zico, and Sun, are going to come through and they're going to look to try to take advantage. Jules walked in, he got all 3 eliminations and just absolutely stomped, takes out the mighty Mongrel himself right there, and he looked for more, right? This is something that we have to watch out for over the course of today, whether these guys continue to third party this fight, because that retard Battle Royale fight between those two teams is a long drawn out fight, and so that was an opportunity for them to sort of take advantage of it. And you can see they're in 7th place there, had a decent game. Safik, though, default, and Putrix sitting there in 1st place, and the Lex Falls on its squeeze. Good to finally see them playing up to the standard you expect them to see. And once again, right, you know, the cast is mentioned for Stroky, Calm Avoid. These guys had a bunch of eliminations as well. So a very entertaining first game there, Reese.
Yeah, we keep seeing Frostroki, Karma Void popping off throughout the qualifiers, but not yet managed to get into the top 3. So fingers crossed, you know, we're hoping to see it. Vino, Jason, Reason, this time, not going off to the super hot start, right? The last 2 qualifiers, we've seen them pick up huge first games, but now at this point, we've seen them pick up a really good game, right? Be 6th. Potentially this means that they're going to be more consistent throughout the day and kind of fire back up and maybe be in the top 3 this time rather than just missing out on that qualification slot. So, you know, maybe things are changing up this time.
Dude, I really do hope so, because remember, this is it. We're looking to place top 3 to go auto-qual to finals, or we need series points, okay? If we want to be one of the 99 going through the semis, today is that day to make it happen. But you heard the battle bus. We're going back with Sancho West, and we got Shot Wager. Of course, the 2 most beautiful boys on the battle bus. Friends, over to you.
What about me?
Hey, what about Levin? What about Reese? What about Zeke, Sancho? I mean, everyone's beautiful today, especially that game number 1. If it was, you know, an actual human specimen, that would be the most beautiful, Sancho.
Very beautiful indeed. But you know what else is going to be beautiful? Finishing in that top 3. We talked about most of these teams will be able to compete in the semifinals, but you don't want it come down to seeding, because you may have 2 or 3 trios landing in your drop spot. This is going to totally ruin the vibe that you're going for. So it's now or never when it comes to some of these qualifications, Shayo.
Yeah, everyone kind of battling for that same top 3 line. Everyone's still in contention after this game. It was an even point split, I feel like, all the way down to 12th place almost. So we'll see exactly how these guys can roll all the way in. Obviously, though, Safik, Putrick, and Default will roll with the highest overall for the moment. And if I do call this man-centric sometimes in the end game, my apologies. It's the only name I can grasp on the screen for the moment, Santos. So that's what we're going to have to be reacting to.
Yes, and no doubt we're seeing some eliminations happen right there in the Slurpee Swamp area. But my question, we saw Wolfie's trio push on here early. Even though they're landing Cammy's split, I think they tried to literally do what Cammy's trio did. When they got a knock on Thomas HD, they got the green light, and all of a sudden they pushed down into the ravine area here, the Dirty Docks. It just didn't work out. You can land a Cammy split all you want. You can try to do the playbook that Cammy, Seti, and Teak do. That doesn't mean you're going to have that top 3 result.
Yeah, no, it's always about not only having the spot, putting your own spin on it, learning it, and, you know, rolling with what it has to offer in your own style as well. And that being said, Mongrel, I mean, he's lived at Retail Row for so many seasons. He's kind of developed his own style of playing over here. He's finally allowed to be inside a round number 4 off of a good performance in that 3rd round, 1st place overall. But that first game, kind of shaky overall too. We'll see exactly how this duel pulls around a second time.
And they always have to be worried about the duo, the trio coming out of Caddy Corner. That's always a go-to rotation in Caddy Corner. Usually Jules, last week he was there, was contested by Trixie. So Jules did not have a great run in the qualifiers in the previous year, as you pick and see Irez getting a knock against Nail there. And now we're going to take a look at Storm 1, and it's going to be very heavy in the northwest center of the map here. Pleasant Park is going to be the heart of it, and we still have Coral Castle involved there. And hey, you know what I'm really concerned about? Tayson's trio coming out of Believer Beach. Is where are they going to get those Storm Surge? Last time we saw them pick on Lazen's trio rotating outside of Fort Crumpet, south of Believer Beach. They took on a lot of box fights there, and it ended up costing them in game 6. And Leo and Skype pushed them in the 3rd party into that fight. So now you're looking at the map, folks. If you were them, Child, where would you get your Storm Surge tags? You've seen them kind of mess with Coral Castle, but I see no one near them at all.
That's all on the timing. They're very good at punishing trios that are active and on the run and getting their tags there. If everyone bunkers down, it is a problem. I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow even run outside of zone or just base up quickly and punish anyone moving in Coral or Boney.
You're seeing the effects here. Look, Mongrel's trio already out. They literally don't have much loot. They just grab whatever they can here in the residential area Retail Row, and they're out. They do not want to get their party. They're seeing, like we saw in the previous round, the good placement, the quality games here. They were able to finish consistently in the top 10. And this is why we're seeing a change in direction. Normally Mongrel, he would sit there and defend Retail Row to the day he gets eliminated. But that's not the case here right now.
Not at all. And I think one team as well who is just playing overall so well. Was just on our screen. Put us at Nico on last. We'll hold on them for a second because Agram is in another mid-game fight in another week of the FNCS.
No doubt, Ingram here trying to be able to hold on to the Defiant Dish here. Is not working out. This is the second game where we're seeing so many trios land in this central area, and I haven't seen this much traffic since the Sentinel Graveyard. I'm not quite sure what people are finding here that's so valuable. Right now, Buzz and Vox are on the full retreat, and Bugs is really close to getting eliminated. Yes, he gets knocked. Now Vox again all by himself, and man, I can't imagine. So, hey, Ingram's trio been landing here very uncontested. Now, this match right here, contested, and you're seeing it's not working out for him as Vox will be able to pick up Ingram.
Yeah, so it's week 3. I feel like a lot of the times like game 4 and 5, people start to realize patterns of other trios, or they go all in on their secondary options. When it's the final week of playing and everything's on the line, game 2 kind of feels like game 6 sometimes. And everyone's kind of just realizing strategies they can go for, early trios that can push for Surge, early trios that can push for free loot. Looks like Egrams is going to be one of them. And at the same time, Mongrel will move over to Lazy Lake, try a fight with Link. Fury and Irazumi, let's see how this one goes. Link is going to go all the way high and mighty and control the high ground for the moment. Mongrel has a lot of mass to keep this fight going, and a Parasite active as well. Looks like they have the advantage in damage and shields for the moment, but the ammo's not looking too good at all, Sancho.
It's what happens when you leave retail row early, when you don't want to get third party. You're just low on everything. That's why you're seeing Mongrel doing all he can to get as many resources during this fight. And this is what separates, you know, an amateur to a pro player, is you're taking every bit as possible to find any bit of resources. Mongrel getting tagged a little bit, still has a Parasite on top of his head, but you mentioned this Parasite would absorb a decent headshot, so that's why it's so valuable having it in this box fight.
Will cost you 25 HP to have it on your head the entire time, though. Parasites always have a little bit of something in return for them if you want to, you know, end up using them in any cases. I would assume just Fortnite, but here we go anyways. Mongrel with a shot. It's a big one onto Link, but he takes a little bit more damage from it overall. Slender's also just boxed up for the moment. Irazumi, man, they have such a big split, these CL boys right now. There's no way Mongrel's teammates can edit right now and doesn't get punished from it from any side.
You got to watch out for Irez. They're setting up that angle right there to hit some shots in the backside. So you're going to have to full box fight this if you're Slender, Kiko, and Mongrel. Because Irez, as you see him on the bottom right of your screen, the mini-map, he's making his rotation. He's now pushing on the north side of this fight, and the pinch is about to be on. They are setting up a great triangle pitch as Fury and Link are sitting on the top, but Mongrel sniffs it out, shoots him out on the backside, no doubt calls out Irez's flank.
He sees it. That was beautiful from him, and he denies the chance at a quick elimination, but at the same time, trapped up in his builds. This rat on low ground is going to get exterminated in just a minute if he doesn't find his colony once again. Mongrel is trying anything right now with this low firepower of an inventory combined with bad positioning with his teammates. It just looks like absolute trouble. Kiko's already down. He's going to try to hit the revive, but it's not going to be possible. The exterminators have arise. They're fumigating the low ground completely. There's no chance for Mongrel to run really anywhere. Has the mats, but doesn't have the movement for the moment. Fury will catch up, and Slender's also found out it's over.
Before we saw this engagement, I was like, Fury's trio is not an easy trio to get eliminated. You just can't roll into Lazy Lake like that. And if you don't have the experience fighting there, normally, Shayo, we see teams, you talked about, you know, rats and whatnot, they go into the basement of those triple houses. That was not available. Mongrel could not get there and hold down the fort. You talked about the lack of resources, and that's the result.
Absolutely, and we're looking at, you know, we'll go back to, you know, the entire idea of the ideology of like kind of rat gameplay, but Serenexo, Trizox, KK Wet, it's not rat in the way like, you know, they're doing cheap tactics by any means, but the fact that they just stay together, stay basically recluse from everyone else, and just operate within their own passageways, their own tunnels. They had so many heal-offs. You can notice it with the quick stat there too, multiple 40-point-plus games. They'd make it all the way to endgame, Sancho. Third place, second place, even a win sometimes. Have a few elims, but playing that passive ratty style, it just makes them avoid any other trio. They stay healthy because they're together, right? Rats together strong. That's staying somewhere, I think.
Somewhere.
They just pop off. The issue though, right? With Mongrel, Kiko, Slender, these guys are a confident trio. They want to be fighting other players. They're not used to that low ground weight play style. They tried it right there in someone else's POI. It doesn't really work. So you have to try to do something. They haven't won at retail once. Now they haven't won at Lazy Lake. Where else can they go?
Nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. That is no doubt the rat way. Vino, Reason, and Tayson here, now they're going to have to work in getting their Storm Surge tags from a distance. Now we're seeing what's on their game plan. Hey, if no one wants to challenge you or drop with you at Believer Beach, you're going to have to find your Storm Surge tag somewhere. So they got to rely on their accuracy here. And now on the opposite side of that coin, it is Fremont Trio colliding with Kepi here in Pleasant Park, which Shio and I are rechanging to Punishment Park. That's what's going to be called. Let's see what happens here in this box fight as both teams are in a stalemate, fighting grid to grid.
Yeah, usually Pleasant Park, I mean, if you're looking at that on a brochure, it seems like it's a little bit of a vacation. Should be an easy drop to go in with, loot a little bit and go out. But week after week, region after region, we just see it over and over again. Teams fighting until what seems like midnight over 4 days, and it never ends.
I'm surprised Pleasant Park doesn't have a community pool. Let me throw that bad boy in there. I mean, take out the soccer,
Yeah.
put the community pool in there.
Not even one house has it, but we do have a dog house. A little bit of a pound there somewhere. Let Rick know. Trying to get a little bit active with this. This is the trio that's rolling in with all those new chests Reese was talking about on the desk over at Royal Castle. But at the same time, the issue right now is, I don't even know, no team has actually hit each other just yet. Jachu and Artor have a little bit of HP deficits. Alongside Cafe.
Oh, hello.
Lolo Domsey Bloomy come in, open the door. Was that a car? I don't even know, but they came in guns blazing.
They came in and crashed the party. They weren't even invited to this one here. They didn't RSVP, but they're here eating all the snacks and drinking all the drinks here as Lightwood, Fremont, and Wolfies are now trying to take advantage of this. And I was about to say, this is more like equivalent to trench warfare and everything's going to be very methodical. And all of a sudden, a wrench gets thrown into my casting.
It's like these guys are just, I would say upper life snobby, sipping on their drinks and just going back and forth with each other in this little box fight. And then you just hear, like Josh, anyone else hear that music coming in from the background? It's like bass blasting in the car. Boom. Moves into the bills. And there's a whole new trio here ready to rock and roll. The issue right now is, though, that these guys are in zone. You don't really need to move anywhere at all. But the longer they stay here, the more they risk, Bloomy coming in and doing that play once more again.
And they're hitting up the weapon-o-matic right here, finding some value out of that vending machine. And hey, this is what I was gonna say. Tayson, Vino, and Reason, they see all this. You talked about all the, the parties and all the fight. Hey, there's someone out there who notices disturbance in the neighborhood, and they're gonna come in and they're gonna maybe try to make Fremont the meat of the sandwich here. As Jachu, Artor now are just, wait a minute, go back to, they're literally, Vino's in trouble. Vino's in trouble. He's got a whole trio landing on him.
It's a four-way fight over at Pleasant Park and a two-way bonanza brawl here towards the center of the map. This trio, or these trios, still need to make it in. KK Wet, I was saying these guys are very good at playing passive, still very scary box to box. They have an entire plan, but if anyone tries to throw a wrench in it their way, I mean, it goes bad. Reason's fully down, though. Bloomy gets that elim all the way in Pleasant Park. That fight's still breaking through. Wolfie now looking pretty healthy. It's going to be a duo versus a trio versus one man who's scared of everything going on around him. That's Artor. He's just wondering when this entire chaos, this punishment will end.
This is going to be the moment that Vino needs right now. We saw it in social media. The nerves are coming here, but he could clutch this situation with Tayson. That's going to be a huge confident boost right now. Yes, down to 71 HP. You're seeing the lobby focus is real, but Vino, if you could hold on, brother, this is where you can take the momentum to let you know you belong a part of this trio.
They've touched an endgame as a duo many times over the 3 weeks. And at the same time, they've just had consistent games overall again and again, all the way up until 5 and 6 where things are rocky. So I don't think these guys will be down and out for the moment at all. Reboot van also available somewhere in Pleasant Park. So if they have the card, it's an option. But I would have to say 3 trios need to get wiped if it's going to be absolutely safe. Everyone kind of has their eye and mind on getting their teammates back up. But at the same time, the full trios, I mean, look at Voids right now, Fast Roki. These guys are already high up and mighty, waiting for someone to make the move towards the van. Vino's trying with Tayson. Notice Sancho, wooden builds. They're already almost either hard out of mats or actually just being a little bit greedy with it from Vino's side. They should have reasons mats overall too. They'll get all the way in while rotating. Don't want to waste anything. And all these buildings actually offer more wood, so they can mine them out. That being said, the new zones here, their entire threshold of damage is looking fine, but their teammate down.
I've never seen Pleasant Park look like this, even during season 4. Like chapter 2 of season 4, when you had Doom's Domain, it never looked like this. We had multiple trios all coming down into Pleasant Park and trying chaos, and still Fremox Trio, who was here at the very beginning when we tuned in to this POV, is still in this fight, and there's still a lot of trios all together on the minimap. Look at that. Wow, it's crazy game 2 already.
The side of Fremox as well. Checking in exactly how their previous game went overall. They ended up in 21st place, so that zone kind of towards the south wasn't really favoring them. Now towards their home turf, they can really get a lot of points here. Cernex was still active inside the feed, getting Sundown, one of the members of the trio that tried to contest early height and make things really chaotic. It's not going to be there for this game entirely. That could be very good for Cernexo and a lot of trios as well. But look at the way this zone's actually shaping out. So many people side by side, stuck in these muddy box fights. Everyone is not breathing that clean, fresh air of the north side right now, Sancho. This is like, this is equivalent. You know, I know we're going into zone 3, but this kind of looks like, in terms of the way these guys have spaced, a zone 4, almost zone 5.
Right, no doubt. You're seeing the south. All these trios are now making their way through by way of vehicle or any means necessary, or launch pads. They're making their way through on the south side. So the south side can be very contested. Right there in the Pleasant Park, those purple triangles you see right where our marker's at on the left side, that is Tayson and Vino as a duo here. As you're seeing, other teams are rotating right over from the dead side here. They're going to collapse right down on that. I feel like a weatherman right now. That collapse right there of Vino and Tayson. They got to be careful. But right now, the world is collapsing on Podosai's trio as they're right here feeling some pressure from ZQ and Nikov. And that's a good split from Falcon and Kezi. ZQ is got to trying to squeeze his way around. He's separated from his trio, and he's got to figure a way how you get back together, get back home again.
Yeah, this is really tough. And the pathway to get home, sometimes you take roads, sometimes you take the freeway. To put it into perspective for you guys, everyone moving in from the map was like on a 5-lane highway, right? We kind of basically went all the way down to one, or like, you know, maybe 2 or 3 lanes now. Lots of these cars will have to merge in. There might be some accidents, some hit and runs for a bunch of these players going side by side, wall to wall. Nikov already kind of has a little bit of a bump in his fender. Is it a bumper? I don't even know. I'm not a car guy completely, Sancho. You could have a little more experience with that, but you guys understand what I'm saying, right? It's going to be tough making it in here when you can't drive in your lane.
Hey, man, when I first moved to LA, I took public transport to 2 years, and I always say, if it gets me to point A to point B, I'm happy. Long as it's rolling. And right now, Nikov right now is trying to roll in alongside with trio. They're using all their hard mats to invest to get a moment to breathe. But hey, that moment's already passed because zone 4 they still got more to move along here. They just get outside of the storm zone. They're going to dip into the heels as much as possible, as 10 trios have so far been eliminated here. And look, already zone 4 is going to be so many people on bases already looking out for storm surge tags. So everybody here on the storm line are going to have some issues getting in.
I like the fact that you mentioned public transportation, because the way these guys are going to move, it's going to kind of look like a bus.
That's right.
Neither trio here will move until the other one does, and so you'll have like a collective 6 people just chugging their way on the main street. So Matzo tries to, and wow, 4 shots rain in at the same time, equivalent to a sniper rifle bullet right there, straight to the body of Matzo. He's gonna have to heal up a little bit. This bus is taking its sweet old time to get out of the station.
And you're going to see all the kind of IGLs at this moment. The in-game leaders are saying, when can we put this pad? Am I going to move out 1 box to the east or west to throw it down so it could be a clean pad? And it looks like a short pad is going to almost get you to the front side. That's a pad with a roof over you that's going to kind of shoot you forward rather than up and over. So a short pad could get you to the front side. As you're already hearing that, they're going to balcony going for the big pad right there. Podosai, you're already hearing that going through. And Matzo, that's what I'm talking about. You got to watch out. I told you got to watch. ADN's in trouble, brother. That's a world of hurt. You gotta watch where you put your pads down.
There was a shadow on that box too. I can't believe the pad went down there for ADN's team, but ADN will go down as a result. 4ZR takes them out. I wanted to say, the longer they, take in that moment, the more noise they make, and then every other trio like 4ZR will look to rake away at their HP, and that's exactly what happens, especially with a mistake like that all the way towards the end. That's going to be rough for ADN's side.
Goodness sake, man, those rotations are going to be rough. You got to make sure that you have a clean launch area. If not, you're just going to be a quick elimination for you. And now we're going to a cleaner passage here, to cleaner air up height. Now we're seeing a traditional trio play as people kind of investing in height, having these monstrous bases. And now you're taking a look And look at that zone 4. Everyone on the south side here, Norn on the north side. So the half and half out pushes there. Be a question of who is willing to pad over and crank to hype. But now we got that story on hype. Let's go to the story of the qualifiers. Is Reason, Tayson, and Vino. And hey, they were able to clutch and bring back Reason.
Brought back Reason. Not only that, look at their overall ammo count too. This is split up, I would assume. Tayson still looking very healthy. 2 knocks here, 2 full elims, 2 on the side of Vino and Reason. So they got into some action, or at least the bodies they knocked down and fully eliminated got them a lot of reward. They're gonna have to move now though. That blessed north side, there's a trio all the way up there with a care package too. They're gonna be in trouble completely. Now these guys will have to fight supremely.
Yeah, I was looking at them. They were kind of setting up a kind of cheeky peek here. They were seeing all the Storm Surge. They went for the jump, and all of a sudden a ramp blocked them right then and there. And one thing you got to look at, even though this is a stormy cloud, the silver lining is they have so much Storm Surge going their way. So they could push Void's trio right now. They're on the wrong side of Storm Surge. So that big scrum there in Pleasant Park did benefit Tayson. But if they get these eliminations here on Void, Festroki, and Karma, that's going to reward them with the Chug Cannon and a lot of material here. And so they're chasing them right now in this rotation. Now you're seeing some more unfolding here. They do have a very nasty layer that they're working through. But Karma, Festroki, and Void, who had some big eliminations in the previous match here, can they go back to back with that here? They have 97 above. One person has to get eliminated here for Storm Surge to turn off.
Just one. Vino, Reason, Tayson though take even more damage, getting all the way towards the top. Where are these guys getting their shield? Is there like a magic hat they're pulling it out of that's like, limitless, bottomless, spaceless completely, because they keep still 100% on shields, and if we tune in, I guarantee they have even more to use entirely. Ericun, Nakos though, once again, Nakos all the way up top, Sancho. They have height, the highest point for the moment. If they pull 5th as well, that's the 2nd game in a row that they just maintain control.
Second game, but last time they lost control as soon as the moving start rolling. You had so many trios pad up to them as Bobby picks up a knock on Monkey, and now you're seeing Reason, Vino, and Tayson, who were in shambles, rotating in, feeling a little bit better, and considering that they did pull the first moving. So they don't have hype, but they can make their way through. And the only thing that is going to question is, do they have the materials and resources? That's going to be their big question mark and their win condition if they want to walk away with the victory royale.
Safik, that's a fanboy out of the way. And in game 1, it was the Gorge. We were watching roll through. Tricky, a mountain in the way. Andalex can't climb that, but in this game, here right now, Pleasant Park, natural, low ground, it's all about the player's skill. It's all about where these pads get placed. What will Tayson, Reason, and Vino do? Can they break that 4th place curse? We'll have to wait, because height is a whole nother story. Blaster taking lots of damage to the HP, and ACOS going all the way towards the top, trying to save it. Yaxel there too. He takes a big beam, and this trio is barely staying alive.
So much invested here. They cranked up so high to hold on to. They are literally in the stratosphere almost, it feels like. They're up in the clouds, and last time we saw them go down, I think this is going to be a very dangerous situation. Even at Waterfall, it's just way too high for this moment here. Look at it now. You have Andalix, who's always been in second height, it seems, for the 2nd game in a row, and Bobby with the perfect pad gets right up there in the mix. And now Nakos, Blaster, Yaxo for the 2nd game in a row are going to lose height on the first moving. Bobby Fly are looking great, as you've seen Yaxo being again the last remaining member of that fight.
What? Bobby almost fell down. We didn't see where the base were entirely. I thought this man skydived again, but I'm like, my friend, there's no glider redeploy. It's not going to be possible for you to stay alive. Yaxo, though, barely teetering along the line of Storm Surge. This is dangerous. He has to just keep popping these minis. Can buy about 9 seconds of time, but after that, he's going to be going down. He needs to look for a little bit of damage. Jake, he might be the one all the way there towards the right side, but he's not going to find it. Vino, Tayson, Reason. They're looking so good on low. Fly still getting elims all the way from up top. Safik is getting his finally also at the same time. Yaxel somehow still alive, but he finally gets taken out.
Man, Fremont threw that big wrench is the theme right now. And look, another people going up for height right now. Bobby is going to try to hold on to this as much as possible. Bobby already put so much on the line to hold on, and it looks like he's going to give up to height here. So height is being a big factor in these games, and that was Safik going for height, and Safik goes out. But now look on the front side, we saw for a brief moment, and Alex's trio is up there right now holding on to height, and this will be a great 2nd game for Andalex's trio.
Oh my God, Safik tried to take the throne. He got sent home, and now Andalex all the way up top. No time to groan. He's gonna have the time to basically move forward for the moment. put a little bit of a stamp on everyone. Yes, Forziar and X-Squeeze, they're alive with him. And look at their classic take. Look how different this is now, Sancho. High ground is no longer the size of the Burj Khalifa all the way towards the skies. They're keeping it down low. They got the pressure online. Pablo, you can't make a mistake with your builds. You get taken out. Link is going to be there with some damage. But Podesai drops him into the storm. Irazumi, he's trying his way to do things. Tayson's still alive, but he's taking lots of damage too. Bobby out in an instant. He gets rained down on shots. No umbrella required or available for him at all. Fly also singled out by X-Squeeze. This is expert high ground pressure.
No doubt, I told you I was a weatherman, and right now the forecast is a rain of bullets, and that's coming down on height. Forziar X with the Analyx getting some huge elimination. The Storm is going back their old builds, but already the damage has been done. Who's on the front side on the low ground? It's Tayson and Reason as a duo operating together here. As you've seen Forziar getting elimination on Podesai. You've seen Paco getting a knock on Link, but the story is Analyx's return alongside with X-Squeeze and Forziar. Forziar trying to get back into the top 3 after being disbanded from Tayson. That will be a great, sweet, poetic justice if Forziar gets this elimination, but more on that later because we're now focusing on that low ground layer of Tayson and Reason.
They're surviving, trying to thrive. Reason taking a little bit of damage, though. Analyx took that second place personally. Now he's getting close and closer towards every single trio down below. Tayson's trying to escape. He's all the way down towards the ground. Rocks in front of him. He can't really build. They're forced to just keep moving. They can't make the Storm players they're used to. Look at 4ZR. He has a lighthouse all the way up on height saying, yeah, you might be able to take out my teammates, but there's no way you can win. They're just too good. Talk about some scary clouds on a sunny day. 4ZR, X-Squeeze, and Andalex. They're alive. They're active.
The French team with the bonjour and bonsoir to game 2, getting the victory royale. They were close and finishing in second place, but what a great appearance here for the classic French trio. And hey, that was huge right there. I think right then and there, that's going to send the rest of the lobby to know that Analyx and X-Squeeze and 4ZR are back, Shayo.
Yeah, it feels like they've been saving that game for the last 3 weeks. I mean, that was a lot of classic from 2 seasons ago, energy that I like to see from this trio.
No doubt, Analyx is someone that we've been watching the entire time. Last season wasn't a great season for Analyx, but hey, with the trio swap, that French shuffle, it may come to form here. And we got to go to the analyst desk of Zeke, Levin, and Reese. Boys, what you got for us on that one?
Boys, Analyx, X-Squeeze, 4ZR just set a brand new EU elimination record. That was 15 eliminations. Gentlemen, it is game 2, okay? Calm down. My little baby heart can't take this right now.
Am I not to overreact? Because if I was to overreact, which is something I want to do right now, these guys are just going, like, what can I say? Like, you look at every single one of them, we hiked it up at the start. These guys, you look at every single one of them as an individual, and you know this is possible. And the formation of all 3 of them together, I was waiting for the pain to drop with them, and it seems to have dropped in Qualifier 3. These guys in the first 2 games have looked phenomenal, and I'm expecting them to continue this and get top 3 today. I just am.
Absolutely, this is classic Andalex. I don't want to take down X-Squeeze and 4ZR too, but when you see a team with Andalex as the leader, anyone that he's leading, right, you expect them to have these big pop-offs. You expect them to be consistent on top of that as well. And so far, this is exactly what we're seeing. 15 eliminations in this caliber of lobby, plus picking up the victory royale, is absolutely insane.
Look, I do like the point you're making about Andalex, because you're right. When it comes to Andalex, he is just Andalex. You know what you're getting out of Andalex, one of the greatest players of all time. But in that game, particularly when you're looking at the load that 4ZR's carrying, he's going out there getting elimination after elimination. That guy's on one, right? And no disrespect to him in any way, because I think when you're playing alongside Nate and Tayson in the past, right, it's very easy to sort of fall into the shadows and be the forgotten man. But he's showing he is one of the elite players in all of Fortnite. And honestly, I'm so happy to see how these guys are doing. Squeeze has also been someone who's proved at the highest stage that he can compete with anybody. Oh, they're just sick, innit? They're just sick.
Yeah, that's wild. I do want to talk a little bit more about this, but first, really quickly, we've got to talk about some of the issues some of these trios are having. Storm, Surge. Gentlemen, what the heck is going on? I feel like this is a reoccurring issue as trios can't make the Storm Surge. Reese, Levin, break down what you guys are seeing.
Look, so many of these teams are struggling with Storm Surge, but someone who's not right now, who we've seen struggle in the past, is Tayson's team, who ended up coming second here. And notice, this is the position that they're in. They also, if you notice, they're their drop spot, right? They're coming from Believers Beach, getting fully centered zone when it comes to the second here. So notice, one thing you may spot, 2 team players here, 1 player here, which is Vino on the far left. Now, this is the sight lines that they actually get from here. This is what happens for the Storm Surge. You see Reason up on this side. He has so many eyes on players over here. Same with Tayson on this side. So many eyes up on this way. They get so many different angles to get shots onto players and all these little tags that add up. But I said, remember, they're split at this moment too. So here is exactly where Vino is. Vino is a little bit further away, but he's got eyes on completely other angles. If anyone rotates down this side, if they come up through Tomsy's team over here. So this split is something that they've actually managed to get, and a lot of top teams do as well, to make sure they're relatively centered to get the most players rotating around them. And then on top of that, the most angles for shots.
Yeah, they're covering the angles, and it means that they have so many different lines of sight in which they can pick up Surge. And like you said, right, they came second in that game. They didn't have any issues with Surge. And, you know, we've seen teams in past seasons struggle with Surge out of that Believer Beach area. These guys have it nailed on. Great stuff from them, but of course, Andalex falls here. We're sitting there in first place. 25 eliminations, more than anybody else. 106 points. The first team to hit the triple digits. Look, I was impressed by Safik, Default, and Putrick last game, but that right there was a performance to really ride home about.
Absolutely. And, you know, we can talk enough about it. Let's be real. I'm sure I'll continue throughout the rest of them. Link, Fury, and Irazumi as well. Remember, we saw Mongol's team push in there early. That is not a team that you want to be fighting at all. They picked up 11 eliminations overall and the 4th place. So, again, maybe that's not a fight that they'll pick in that early game. And going down, you know, we've seen so many other top teams up in our top 10. Game 2 is already finished. 4 more to go, and I'm sure that leaderboard's definitely not solidified anywhere close yet.
Bro, it's wild out here. And really quickly, just Tayson and his trio, a 2nd place game 1, 6 eliminations. We just saw 6th place, 6 eliminations. So consistency's there. It could be their time. There's too many teams that I want to root for, but for now, we got to step away because we're going right back into the action. Buckle aboard the battle bus. Buckle up because we're going into the next game. Sideshow West, Shire Wager, take us in, boys.
Oh, welcome back to week 3, or should I say Andalex's playground, Stoncho, because right now, this trio, they're running rampant.
Yeah, they're doing what they need to do. We talked about their previous woes for Andalex in the previous. We were just like, what's happening? They're catty corner. They got pushed all the way down to Camp Cod. No one wants to be in Camp Cod if you're a decorated trio like Andalex. So he went over to Misty Meadows. They picked up 4ZR, and they're looking strong.
Yeah, but they're going to go dive right back into their uncontested POI. But at the same time, I see a few high flyers. Are they landing Misty? No, they're too fast. There's no way. They're going straight over. And that is the respect this team deserves. I mean, I think the biggest issue for them has been off spawn. This is one of the times we get to see them uncontested with power. It's one of the effects of being inside, you know, qualifier number 3, where a lot of those big teams who might land here or around here aren't playing. You know, the upper echelon of the lobby is not going to be the same way up to par. And because of that, these guys can not only get a free POI, but then have like a 8-zone high ground retake, right? I don't think Aqua would allow that. I don't think, you know, if Tayson was put in the position of a lot of other grand final players playing inside there, not inside the Pleasant Park fight, I don't think he would allow that. I don't think Kiriachi, if he was somewhere near high ground, would have the same effect of defending against Analytic Squeeze. But the fact that they can do it right now means there's space for them to just keep going, move with this momentum, and possibly come out on top.
I agree. We saw last week, as we do see a llama out here for X-Squeeze, he's going to try to sneak up on it. We saw last week, it was Bagfi, Zestin, every now and then stopping that high take. So yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye on that. I was going to ask you that, is who in this lobby is going to be the hype alpha, because they're going to have to go up against, you always talk about it, the mega boss in Aqua. They're always on hype. They're always taking hype. And I don't see so far, the only trio in this lobby is Andalex's trio. Yaxo, you're seeing that. You could take height and moving. You could be there at half in and half out. You could do all these things, but executing, maintaining height is always going to be that tough thing to do. And we're seeing that a team like Decorated, Yaxo, can't do it right now. Andalex picking the right time to take height when it matters most.
I mean, I don't even blame Yaxo in that last game for not being able to control it, or even the game prior. There's so many unorthodox height takes happening until, you know, one of those really decorated teams comes in all the way towards the backside. Now, I mean, in that last game, it was Andalex. They have a little bit of a sizable lead, almost 22, no, exactly 22 points over second place's Safik's trio. They're in first right now overall, and for Void 2, I mean, these guys are having a good day. 5th place right now, 64 points, and a 4th place with 10 elims. And 8th place, they've kind of, you know, been vibing in the top 10. The thing I don't like to see right now, if anyone is keeping track of the leaderboards, the thing that kind of puts a little bit of worrisome feelings in my heart is looking at Tayson, Vino, and Reason in 4th place. You know what I mean? Like, every time I see them in 4th, I feel like they end up staying in fourth for some reason all the way towards the end of the day. They can't break out of this. Sometimes they get towards second or first, and then, you know, a choke comes in at the end and they end up fourth. I just don't want to see 4 attached to these guys' names anymore.
And now we're seeing a tour of the top 5, essentially. We saw Sapphic for ZR. Now we're going to take a look at Storm 1, the Zone 1 being revealed. Now it's going to be more of a southwest zone. Now the heart of it's going to be in between Holly Hatchery, Weeping Woods, and Boney Burbs. And we've already saw a great breakdown from Reese on how Tayson, Vino, and Reason do Storm Surge. Now they still have the ability to make an easy rotation into the center if they like, but there's not going to be a lot of vantage points towards the south side considering Weeping Woods' tree lines take up a lot of those south lines.
Absolutely. And, you know, Yaxo Nakos Blaster, last game was definitely a home zone for them. This is a new term I'm just going to coin, okay?
I like that.
When it comes to like the POI that can control everything,
yeah,
that was theirs on the northern side. Craggy Cliffs 100% can do it. This left side where, like, you know, the center of the map is right above Weeping to the left of Boney. I mean, Believer Beach Trio has to be their home zone, and Vino, Taste, and Reason, that's where they're residing. This has to be their game to at least start off on height or be in a very good spot. Nothing like last game.
Now we're taking a look here as Savid is the second appearance here in the qualifiers. No doubt Savid wants to be able to qualify. Last time we saw Savid on the broadcast did a huge clutch with the reboot round with the Stinky Fish. And right now Savid is in the world. Ooh, nicely done. Savid's catching that. Was able to time that edit out and be able to come on top. Rifle. Savid and Astro looking strong here as Mosh from Portugal is going to have to retreat back into the factory. And they're in full pursuit here. Mosh here was able to get 3 eliminations. But now he's just going to do his can to just in full retreat. And they're not going to let this go. Going to hop into the diesel. This is great use of shooting out the tires. And you're going to go right back into the arms of another trio. But hey, you know, sometimes I always say, when you're being pressured by someone, you just got to make it not worth to be chased down. But you're going to end up riding right into someone's bed. Just make it not worth being chased. You know what I mean? Just make it be like, all right, it's not worth getting. Let's let him go. Let's just move on.
I mean, he can run all he wants. He can hop from diesel to diesel, but he's lost his family. You know what I mean? Like, that's the issue right now.
It's always about family.
It's always about family. And there's no chance for Mosh to be able to see his loved ones in this game again. He's going to get pinched from all sides, hide behind the trees. Is there a chance for any placement here? 4 teams maybe need to go. Okay, go down. Mosh with the moves.
Okay. The Enas. I like it. I love it. The snake movement out there. It was there. You know, that's what happens when you live life so quickly. But full elimination. I have to stop myself sometimes. You know what I mean? I gotta pump the brakes when it comes to these
quarter miles.
Yeah, well, you know,
I see what you're saying.
You gotta pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You're getting away from us. And taking a look at the feed right here. Triox's trio eliminated. Master we saw right there just eliminated. Scram's trio out. Ingram out. And Xenoph out. One of the things, the theme here is the center zone has been quite messy. We're going to go into that and just bring it down a little bit here, chat. It's a little bit ASMR. Bring it down just a little bit.
Yeah, vibe with Crizzy. Vibe with Crizzy.
Wow. Ooh,
Can't knows, but
dude, the Marek, like literally no bullets hit there.
You know, they got like infinity around them or something. Nothing can touch these guys. That should have hit. That was an SMG.
That's what I'm saying. That was a very miraculous moment that we saw here. A miracle, as some would say.
What's the strat? So that's what they lost early game. Maybe you know, one teammate goes down at Stir Six, and they're just waiting out, weeping, hoping not to cry until they can get their teammate back up and by. I guess that's what it is.
It's kind of bringing me back to the lonely times of Chapter 1. You know, way back on that east side, everyone on Valentine's Day is talking about I'll be in Lonely Lodge type of vibes.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So that's what we're seeing here. And I was going to mention this before we kind of brought it down the levels here, is that the entire center of this map in these set of games, messy. A lot of like early game contention, these drops here on these landmarks, and you're just seeing the feed light up here. I know people always want to talk about, they want to watch these early engagements, but right now, all those people in the middle of the map right here, it's like literally a donut hole. They're on the bottom of the board right now. They are tripping each other up here to make it into that top 3.
And this story we're going to be watching, I would assume, all the way until the 5th zone. Tayson and MXR side by side. This is 4th place and 6th place. 6th being MXR Paco rolling in for company. Now, watching these guys day after day, week after week, especially previous seasons, week 3 always seems to be their strongest push all the way towards the top. Fremont going down to ZQ in the feed. I'm wondering how that's happening. all the way over at Coral. ZQ shouldn't be there, at least from what I'm watching overall on the map. But at the same time, maybe these guys moved away from Coral or got contested very, very fast. We'll see exactly how things worked off of rotation. Maybe a fight over one of those airdrops. Falconly also going down. Astro picking that one up. So some trios are getting heated inside the mid game. Reason, Vino, and Tayson, though, to keep it cool.
When you have the home zone, as you coin, that leaves you the freedom to roam. And that is what Reason, Vino, and Tayson are doing. We've seen them roam these medals before in the previous week, and they paid the price, and it cost them the top 3. Lazen is not an easy out, and that's what I'm getting to. Is a lot of the trios as we go higher and higher, and next week we'll have the start of the semifinals, getting into the heats. Once you get into that, hey, getting these quick eliminations, these storm start tags, is gonna be a lot harder. And 4ZR and Alex Squeeze, we've seen them do this before, and now this fight has been extended down to Hydro 16.
Joe doesn't have to take a stand here, but at the same time moved after the fact, because this is way far away from where both these trios kind of need to be. I don't even think, no, they have to be aware that there are trios inside. Yeah, XW's already building those ramps to make sure not even a shot gets taken at him. You can see his shield situation. 3 minis and a big. You should basically be expending mats at all times right now. There's no way you can afford to lose any of that precious shield this early. Maybe at 4th or 5th zone, but no chance right now.
One thing I noticed as well, because of the abduction of Slurpy Swamp, is a lot of the Slurpy Swamp teams are already moving out. We saw Kiriachi moving to Logjam. We've seen them go use the fishing spots more available, maybe going down to Shantytown, all the way down the West Coast. So XW's 4ZR Analytics knows this. They know they're going to have this POI to themselves, maybe pick up in the scraps. But the thing is, the slurp barrels that you used to find here, a lot of the POI shield is not available anymore due to the abduction. And hey, we talked about Coral Castle. I think right there, that's well, Tayson, Vino, and Reason are gonna have to figure out that for this week at least, because Coral Castle, they're gonna be up as we see Wolfie's. See, that's what I'm talking about. Wolfie's trio, they're not really. Why are they way down here in Slurpy Swamp? Hey, Coral Castle has a known pad, POI pad, launch pad, so they have some mobility.
Definitely do. They can use it at any moment, but the 3 men who had the home zone for the moment, not gonna have a bone to throw their way at all for the mid game. Lots of trios all around them, trees to block a few sides, but this doesn't really look like a point of control. Will be a pit stop, I think, until that 3rd zone really locks in, and then these guys can jump up and take a pretty position. At the same time, and Alexic Squeeze 4ZR just seem like they're stumbling their way into this zone over and over again, somehow towards the dead side. But once again, box fighting another trio entirely. This aggression might be the way for this trio entirely. It's Letwick who gets completely taken away by XW's. His wall claimed, and after that, a few shots straight towards his head. His name, he's 1 HP. Walking through these builds, it's trouble.
Fremont got an elimination on Andalix. You're gonna say just a normal trio. This is not just a normal trio when you have Fremont on your team here. So Fremont putting up a great stance here. XW's getting elimination on Letwick. So now it's a 2v2 with 4ZR XW's versus Wolfie and Fremont. 2 duos who are known to work together. Wolfie and Fremont here gonna put a big stop here in XW's and 4ZR's terror, as they are right now in 1st place, going up against a team that no doubt is so far in the middle of the pack.
And this is a fight you can be very, very greedy at. Reboot Van right beside you within all these builds. No matter what happens, as long as one teammate stays alive, you can just get right back in the game with 3 trios worth of loot.
This is going to be one of those moments. 4 games left here. This is the 3rd game here. And now Fury is coming in here into this fight. They're extending this. This is the 3rd place team, literally being the 3rd party into this engagement. They're going to try to find any kind of tags and moving through. You see another team rolling through. Multiple teams here on the outskirts of this fight. And that's going to have to draw a concern. You talked about you could be greedy with this fight here, knowing that the reboot van is here. But sometimes greed will ultimately catch up to you.
I think for XW's and 4ZR, that's going to have to be the play. I don't see these guys as a clutch trio coming in this game. They're one to just really, you know, even in this week, they want to operate off of control, having all teammates up. They need Andalix back.
Yes, they need the captain back. Let's see if they're going to bring him back using the right hand. Peanut butter at it. Nothing. Doesn't get any kind of tags right here. Now we go back into this stalemate, grid to grid box fighting here. They know who they're fighting. They know who's on the other side. And look at just the advantage points there. Now, Irez, Link, Fury are now putting on the squeeze. And Jules' trio, they're going to kind of coast on through. And there it is. There's someone got eliminated there just for a brief second here. Actually, Letwick got brought back. Rebooted right back into the fight.
They snuck away Letwick. At the same time, Storm Surge is just raining down, and you can hear the shields crack too, so they know that one of these trios might be a little bit more crazier than usual, in trouble. That's the Be Genius boys for the moment. To look for damage on the right side. As that happens, X-Squeeze and 4ZR will have to wait out this reboot timer for Andalex. I think it goes all the way up to about 90 seconds, so they have to abide their time, at least a minute overall. But it's halfway there right now. They have the position, but they don't have the time.
Not at all. And Zeku actually was going in from Jules' trio, and he gets eliminated by Fremog's trio. So that's going to be some valuable loot right there picked up by Fremog just to be able to give towards Letwick.
The zone's all the way towards the north side. So no matter how many fights are going on for the moment, I mean, 4-0 goes up to kind of assess the situation. These guys are not going to be going up against the trios. They're going up against the clock. And that clock is ticking. Fremog, they were fighting elsewhere because they knew they were just wanting to wait out that reboot van time, and they come straight back, racing in, looking for a few shots on the X-Squeeze. Do a little bit of damage. 4-0, though, he has the sight line. Might get trapped up in the box. Not his floor. He has to run all the way away. This is too much for him. He can't handle it. X-Squeeze is also being deleted while this is all going down, and now Zone's moving. Every trio's in trouble.
And there it is, the elimination. Wolfie picks up 4ZR. X-Squeeze is the last remaining member of our first place team, eating storm, eating bullets, trying to survive on the back foot as much as possible. And that back foot was digged in 6 feet deep right into that elimination grave.
And man, they hit triple digits. Andalex, 4ZR, and X-Squeeze. But they won't be able to have a little bit of a victory lap. They won't be able to make that lead even longer than usual. The 22 points they have right now will kind of be frozen in time. Sapphic, Default, and Putrick might have a chance to clap back with it, but I saw Default go down in the feed moments ago. As all the action on the south side continues towards the middle, towards home, Taste and Vino Reason finally active, found a cool mountain, but at the same time, not inside the safe circle. They'll have to move once again. Benefits, though, of moving late. You get to have big elims like this. You get to pick apart other trios who are kind of in shambles, solo players. It's Old Nemesis going down. And while they do that, Sancho, they'll be able to maybe even box up on other teams. You get to assess everyone else's spot first and maybe take a special entire position that wasn't even available before. That's even better than anyone else's. That's what Stason's about to try to do.
And wasn't not available is actually Kiku, Mongrel, and Slender. They're here. They're still alive here. It's going to be a huge game 3, and they're going to want to mount a comeback for the top 3.
And Kiko just picked up an elimination, so great call out on that trio rolling in there. Still very aggressive, opening their boxes, looking for peaks, possible box fights as well. We'll see how much they can get, because the refresh right now, I mean, you just saw what, you know, Reason picked up, a free launch pad, Tastin, Tuck Splash Cannon. Imagine what Mongrel and Kiko have from the size of Lazy Lake or even Misty Meadows.
Kiko gets an elimination on Chrissy here, so that trio is now trying to roll up. Kiko's trio in 30th place. We already saw first place go down. Now we're on board here with the 4th place trio of Reason, Vino, and Tayson, who clutched in game 2. They was down to a duo of Vino and Tayson. Had that punishing Pleasant Park experience. They were able to survive and reboot Reason back and get into a top 2 finish. Can Tayson get into the top 3? Considering that Tayson dismantled his automatic qualification, has been the kind of the story of these qualifier weeks of Tayson just falling out of the top 3.
I want to stay in there. Now, let me paint this little picture for you, all right? A lemon, right, has a lot of juice in it. Say 100% juice before it's squeezed.
Yes.
When a zone's like this, right, the entire playground, everyone that's kind of active right now, they start to get squeezed a little bit. Some of that juice, the players, they get fizzled out of the lemon. They get fizzled out of that safe zone. Now, this isn't the biggest of squeezes, but you have to assume that a bunch of these trios moving in, trying to survive this squeeze, might not be able to. Void, he picks up a big sour one right there towards the south side. Lots of other people getting pushed in, pressured side by side. Can they stay in the lemon, Sancho, or will they be the, you know, sweet juice that gets made into game 3's lemonade in just a moment?
Oh, I was going to wait for that. The lemonade always comes in to quench that thirst. And Fury right now and Link and Irez, they are trying to quench their thirst for some eliminations, considering right now they're only 103 above. Yes, they're above, but they would like to be in a more comfortable place. Nice knock using that pistol from Fury. Some great work right there. This is the third place team going in. No doubt Destiny Jesus has to be happy with that pistol play. And there it is, some more pressure going down the lane through the multiple boxes as Patrick Safik and Fury picks up some huge eliminations, 2 eliminations so far, and they're still working as Wolfies, Milan, and Mongrel are lighting up the feed.
Yeah, this is not an elim feed. It was a CL feed for a little bit. It still is right now. As Link gets Safik, I don't think the Orcs planned that, but it's all good. After that, Mongrel does get active, absolutely, and Link picks up even more. Jojo going down. Void taken out, though, in the fight that he was having all the way towards the south side, and now things are getting very hairy next to Wolfies' box. Ryan Milan will be beside him, paying up top, getting punished. Fury, Link, and Irizumi, they have this crazy angle, though, and they're still beaming forward. Lots of loot to be grabbed.
Mongrel and Wolfies are literally right next to each other, close on the low ground. The person that I'm worried for is Tasteless Trio. We saw them on the north side. Zone pull towards the log jam right here. So we have to watch the feed and see the rotations right now, because that is such going to be a dangerous rotation. Even if they decide to move through this southeast area, you're already seeing right in front of you folks, all the people already based up looking out, and Mongrel's already racked up a couple elimination on people from the backside of the storm.
And what a strange zone entirely. Kind of felt like it was going to be going all the way towards the west, maybe pulling up a bit. So all those south teams really pushed in towards the center. It then goes all the way down towards Weeping, towards Logjam. And so everyone is getting squeezed even more now. So many people not being able to stay in that zone. BG is down once again. Milan, Marian, and Wolfies, though, they're looking pulp as ever. They're actually so comfortable in this low ground for the moment. We haven't seen any higher elevated trios. This is our first kind of look at them. It's 80 and Amplify. No Mats, though, which is very interesting because usually these guys survive, and Astro's right behind them too.
If I could put a pin and circle the map, Bobby's trio right there. I'm going to circle him right there with my imagination. That's the trio we got to keep an eye on because they're always contesting height. Last time in game 2, they used a perfect pad to get it as ADN gets knocked there from Gray.
A small thing to note too, both the first and second place team for the moment right now are not going to be in this game. So Link, Fury, and Irizumi will be the eyes of the possibly top placements in this game that we're going to be watching. Astro gets another one as well. Vino, Tayson, and Reason, this is a very good chance for them to climb back, and especially for any other team like Mongrels who are very low in points.
And 30th place. I was doing this. I was making like, this is so pull for them. Not too bad. It's kind of bad considering that they go through half of the top of the lobby, but they have some materials. But look at the ammo, shambles. You could tell that they're leaving retail row. We saw it in game 2. They're leaving early as fast as possible. They have yet to find the refresher, and there is that sound, and that means gliders are going off already. Dan Div's trio is already moving through. Mongrel, Kiko, and Slender are going to decide to take the foot route, and there it is. Blackie, DKS are sitting at high, trying to beam anyone coming through. Rifle, Save It are all zooming right through, gliding right past here. But can DKS, Erican, and Blackie hold on to height? We've been seeing height get contested, and Paco is getting beamed out of the air by DKS. But hey, Artur is going to clean up and get that knock here. And for the moment, Blackie's trio is holding height.
Erican has it, but they've been so delayed beaming.
Yep.
They have to actually possibly move or get overtaken.
Nice pad.
Bloomy's there for it. Nice pad. And Erican's actually there, advanced in position to make sure that there at least is a point of connection to be had. That's a very good ebb and flow, elastic type of movement from the team. A 1-2 split. And as that happened, the dances are still going on in mid-ground. No one falling for the moment. There was lots of, chaos before. We saw a few people go down. Amplify tried to hold his own, but he got taken out. Right now, no one is moving. No one's falling.
I'm hearing right here they have a pulse rifle. That's not going to be a strong rifle to hold high. They don't have a lot of ammo as well. So I'm expecting this hold not to last this long, considering already so many people already went for it. We already saw Bobby go for it, but I don't know if DKS's trio could hold on to high considering they don't have the firepower.
And they're not moving fast enough for the moment. It might give people a chance to maybe overtake from the front side, but no, Wolfies and Milan, they tried the hard way. They're playing on veteran difficulty. They go from the back, but they're experts, speedrunners for the moment, and Marian is there to take things over. Wolfies does not care. Milan leading the charge down below 2. They are the new high ground kings for this game, number 3. They'll roll in and dictate the lobby in a new, much fast way.
Welcome to the party of in-game Milan, Marian, and Wolfies. You are here, so now is your time to kind of show out as much as possible here, as Wolfies right below here. Marian, Wolfies, and Milan here with only 3 eliminations, and they're looking strong.
Yeah, the thing is, though, lots of strong enemies down below. The full CL trio with Irizumi, Fury, and Link still active. Vino, Tayson, and Reason also looking to just steal away points from low. Marian, Wolfies, and Milan are up against lots of skill right now and need to find openings to get eliminations.
Here it is, eliminations happening. We're seeing the story on height. Let's take a look at picture at down low. You see Tayson on the mid layer right now, having the front side. Wolfies is actually being sent down below to find as much as materials as possible. Wolfies does have the power and the ability and the skill to get those eliminations, but he does not have a harpoon anymore to get those valuable matches. He's gonna have to dip in and get back up and bright as possible. We are on board here with third place with 7 eliminations, and they have enough. The material count is really low here though, Shio, as Saban gets eliminated, Astro gets eliminated, Nikov and Podosai and Astro get those eliminations.
And they don't care about anyone on their layer or below them. They have their eyes set on first place for this game for height. That might be a mistake though. A little bit of rumbling down below. They'll have to kind of go a little bit lower too to make sure they're safe overall and not using the many amount of mats, but it's Vino they run into. This is a titan of a trio inside their builds, and now they're running scared. Chuck Splash Cannon needs to get active, but now there's no shield on Fury or Irazumi at all. Tayson, no, it's Reason who's going to be a consequence of that open edit and of this move. Podosai will pick him up all the way on low. High ground though, still gets to survive by the skin of their teeth. They barely have any builds left. It's all on wood. Marine falls all the way down. He's going to be the first casualty. Wolfies is going to try to capitalize on it and go for the trade, but he finds a little bit of it. Big siphon inside the storm, 60 HP, 50. Has to land the next pump. It's a beam.
Oh, no!
He gets an elim. He shouldn't have. It's impossible, but he makes it happen. And now Milan's left alone against a trio. Drops down. It's not enough. Cubex, Dandir, and Devin, they had position. They had 13 eliminations, and they have the victory royale.
What a big victory royale. Cubics, the veteran of the EU region, with Dandir and Devin here getting Game 3's victory royale. But we saw some of the names of the favorites kind of make an appearance finally here in Game 3. But Cubics, like I mentioned, one of those names not a lot of people talk about. But if you look at his resume, he has the experience.
Yeah, and that end game was basically just a standoff between all teams. And Sancho, who wins the standoff? The people who are not a part of it. So Cubics, with that experience, he stayed back, he stayed clean.
Stay clean on Cubix's, former teammates of Teak Steady and Cammy in the past here. So, hey, the past is making an appearance. They're kind of causing a lot of waves. So we got to take a look at the leaderboards with the boys, Zeke, Levin, and Reese.
Oh, baby, this is what I like to see. I love how our casters have perfectly set this up. Cubics, if you remember from back in the day, you're like, wait a minute, that name sounds so familiar. Yes, you're right. He is that veteran. He was such a big, prominent name, like so long ago. And now to kind of make that return to say, listen, friends, all right, there's more than just a handful of good teams here in Europe. We're all fantastic. I like to see this, Levin. This is what I like to see.
There's been great progression over the course of the past 3 games for them, right? First game, 22nd place, not too impressive. The game after that, 9th place. This game, the Vic Roy, a nice little progression there. Look, these guys have built on the foundations of what they sort of did earlier. And I think the big thing now is, can they sort of use this momentum? Now, this definitely will push them into the top 10. I'm not too sure where they'll be. Maybe they'll even be in the top 5. Who knows? I'm sure we'll get there. But a great game for them, nonetheless.
Yeah, and that kind of final 3v3, or well, maybe 2v3, where it came down to Wolfie's trio versus Cubex's trio, was interesting because, to be honest, that's 2 trios who haven't really put a name for themselves in this tournament yet. For Wolfie's trio, except from, our first package where we saw the hilarious eliminations off spawn from Wolfie. So yeah, he put his name in that one, but he was 31st with his trio before this game started. Now that's definitely going to fly them up the leaderboard, the 2nd and 6th eliminations. Cubex, I think, was outside of the top 10. I don't think we've seen particularly too much from him. A huge 13 eliminations, and obviously the victory royale. That's got to fly them up big time.
Absolutely. We're only halfway through right now. Really quickly, one thing you just said, Levin, was momentum. And the trio that I feel like had momentum was Andalex and company. However, they fell 26th in this last game. So with one bad game, does this kind of stop the momentum they had from the first 2?
Well, yeah, I think you look at it and that's definitely a cause for concern, right? Because especially Andalex individually, he was putting on an all-time sort of performance in those first couple of games, right? You look at his battle average, which is, essentially of all the eliminations on the day, how many he was accountable for. That was 4.6, higher than anybody, right? That's incredibly high compared to anybody else. And actually the second highest was 4.2, and that was his own teammate, right? Just to show how dominant these guys have been today, Reese. As well as that, right, in game 1, he individually took his team from 5th place to 2nd place, right? Accounting for 13 solo impact points. These guys, in Andalex in particular, has been on a tear, but with having such a poor game in game 3, does this now derail them in terms of their potential for getting a top 3 today?
And what you got to remember is this exact same thing has happened within the last 2 weeks, in particular with Vino, Taste, and Reason's team, which you already mentioned. Now they've actually moved to third, and Alex has gone down into second. So you got to remember, teams that are off to a really, really hot start historically across all of the qualifiers for EU have not continued that streak so far. So I hope that Alex's team manages to maintain that momentum. As you said, they are still in a really, really good spot. But Link, Fury, and Irazumi now, well, we've watched a good few bits of them. Another consistent game, third with 11 eliminations again. So 2 massive games the last 2, and that's kind of just fired them all the way up into that #1 slot.
When you talk about teams historically having hot starts and not being able to see it through, the team right below them knows plenty. Like, they could write a book about it. Vino, Taste, and Reason have had countless hot starts, and just haven't been able to follow through. And so maybe they'll be able to take a leaf, or actually not take a leaf out of their book, right? Because they don't want to have that happen to them. Let's take a look at that next page, though. There are some teams from 11th to 20th that we want to take a look at. Of course, right? Wolfie, Letwick, Freemock, a team who's obviously, you know, we thought that today would be the day if they were going to have a good week coming out of Coral Castle and whatnot, but it just hasn't seemed to go that way yet. Although we are halfway through, there is still that potential. And of course, Zico, Sun Jules, another team that I'm paying attention to, they did really well to start off with and have sort of slowed down since then, Reese.
Yeah, you know I'm a big fan. You know I'm a big fan of this team. I've put them in my top 3 as my predictions so far. I've hyped them up through the majority of the last season. The fact they've made it here has been great. Potentially for them, it's a qualification through heats. You know, I do think they're going to make finals. I feel like they're a team of that caliber who will make the finals at some point. But unless they really pick up the pace, it's going to be tough for them to go from 15th all the way up till 3rd. But like I mentioned, they've got enough series points to make it into the semis, and then maybe, you know, top placement to get them into the finals is on the cards.
I'm still waiting for a Bloomy masterclass. Bloomy sitting there 14th, my guy. You know, I'm waiting for them. I'm waiting for the Bloomy Tomsy Pablo Wingu masterclass. It's coming. It's loaded.
20 bomb. It's a 20 bomb. Don't worry.
30. 20 not enough. 30.
Oh my gosh, listen guys, as much as I want to see now, we only have 3 games left, so the question becomes, which of these trios can hold on long enough either to place top 3 or get enough series points to make it into semis? You've heard the battle bus sound, you know what we're doing. It's time to go back with C2S7 and Shy Wager for game number 4 of the FNCS.
Listen, there's all this talk about, you know, Bloomy, but I want to focus on Link, Fury, and Irazumi because they're judge, executioner, and the jury right now, Sancho. 2 double Elam games, a 4th, 3rd, and then a 10th as well. These guys have it on lock.
Yeah, they're eliminated. You talked about all those numbers. It's 27 eliminations, so they're looking very, very strong. And hey, but we've seen this before from them. Remember, Sayo, they were in the top end, and all of a sudden, it's these back half of games where they start sliding down. And now we're into game 3 here. The question will be is what they will do. I believe this is game 4. The game 4.
Yeah. Game number 4. Rolling.
Got to update the graphic there on there. 4 out of 6.
It was so fast. Though. It was fast for all of us. We're still kind of at all with how Wolfie's got that Elam down onto Irazumi at the very end. But now rolling in off their POY. What have they done today, man? Stop Mongrel, stopped anyone from coming into Lazy Lake, and made it to every single endgame.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing there, Cubex is right there as well, getting a knock. So we're seeing the previous Victory Royale winners still doing well. That's a huge momentum to keep that rolling. And we're going to roll the leaderboard for you to see what is at stake. It is the top 3. So you're seeing Link, Fury, and Irez, what we're seeing right here at 116, and Alex Fortjar Squeeze 106, who got eliminated early in the game, last one. And you have Vino, Tayson, and Reason at 100 points, Sapphic, Default, Putrick with 97. Of course, Dandy or Devin and Kubex, who we saw on the feed, get a knock with 96 points. So that's the leaderboard. And what's at stake is the top 3. They get automatically into the finals. So they skip the semifinals. They avoid that treacherous reboot round, and they get right into the money. And that is what we're all playing for at the beginning of next month.
Yeah, 100%. And if you want to put this leaderboard a little bit more into, you know, section context, like I would say the top 5 would be like class 1A, right? These guys are all represent each other, triple digits, trying their best to be the heroes of the day at the end, right? Top 3 overall. You got the class, you know, B coming in as well towards the backside, the 80 point all the way down towards the 60s, the 50s. They have some very cool quirks on their own too. They have very good stat lines overall throughout the day, but they need that extra push, the extra boom to get all the way towards the top. We'll see if they can pull it out there because, you know, if you're going up against Andalex every game, Irazumi towards the end, Tayson is just a phenom on low ground right now. Like, there's such no little room basically to fit in any of these, you know, 5th to 10th place teams. see exactly what they can can do, because right now Nikov, I'm watching these fights break out in the feed too. They're surprising me, actually going down all the way towards the north side of the map. There's trouble in Simi stacks, but at the same time, the retail row fights, they do not stop.
And now we're seeing Lawless's trio, and another engagement, of course. It's been the kind of the fight that we've been watching the entire day here in its 4th iteration. And so far, it may be just literally no reboots, no remakes. It's just a redone here of what we've been watching the entire time. Lola's trio's in 32nd place. Kiku about to go up here. Bang! Gets that knock. Gonna come on down to Wyzep. Oh, almost with the window edit. If that petrified Wyzep was not running around, Kiko getting 3 eliminations all by himself. Portugal maybe even on the comeback here, Shayo.
Yeah, those 2 gas cans aren't just for show. That's literally just the fuel.
He needs
it. That's just showing us exactly what he has in the reservoir. It's just absolute fire shots over and over again. And man, that was just perfectly played. The angles from Kiku, all from the top side. That means the headshot multiplier more likely to hit and hits harder. Just absolutely beautiful.
It's so interesting. We saw Tayson's POV. And, he's here. He's the king of Believer Beach or Sweaty Sands at the moment. We saw, I think there's the LeBron James mural right behind him. I mean, this is what he's trying to chase, right? He's trying to chase, there he is, LeBron James. We were trying to chase greatness right now. I mean, Tayson coming off that FNCS solo championship, coming off of the FNCS solos, coming off the FNCS trios championship. Can Tayson be able to return to glory here? That is what we're watching here. You talked about premium gas so far. Does Tayson have enough premium gas to get there? And now we're sitting here with Link Zero. This is the first in the EU with back-to-back 10 elim games. So you said it right at the opening here, judge, jury, and the elimination, and he's about to get a poor llama right here as an upgrade as well. So, hey, can they resist the slide that happened last time? We'll see.
At 116 for the moment. I'll try to get an update on exactly what the top 3's points were in Qual Week number 2. But right now, just from the gameplay patterns I'm seeing from this trio, just the way Link, Irazumi, and Fury are acting up with this, they have height at 5th, right, Sancho? They have a very good position sometimes, and they don't have the ego that makes people trip up in games. They give it up. They sometimes go to play that mid ground, that low ground. They challenge Tayson on the same layers, and they survive, which is not an easy feat. And because of this adaptation, the quick layer change, not as a way to survive, but as a means of an actual game plan. Like, they're doing this on purpose, not because someone else is coming up to their lair. Because of this, they're just playing so well, are super consistent, and are staying up top.
And now there's a storm revealed there, and we're going a little bit more into the central, right there on the east side, a little bit just south of Corny Complex. And hey, Irez, Fury, and Link, they're newly formed trio. Previously, you saw them play with different teammates in week 1, and they only made it to as high as round 3. The Fury and Irez are playing with default here. So, like we mentioned, the French shuffle, there's just the Russian shakeup that's working really well, and it's just taking a second week for it to mature into success.
And if they make it all the way to finals as well, they'll have their chance of securing a drop spot, being less stressed out overall, not having to go through semis or the reboot. It's what they want. It's what they can grab right now, 100%. David Rifle and Astro, though, that class B of this game so far, who are rolling in, looking to have a better adaptation for their total story, maybe be the main characters by the end of this. I mean, they've had good positions, they've had shots and pressure. I just feel like the consistency is just not there yet game after game.
Hey, they've been close. We talked about Qualifier 1 for a little bit. They came in 10th place. And we saw that Qualifier 1 had a lot of the giants of the region, going through Aqua, Benji, and then you have Hen, Janice, Chapix. They all went through in that one. So that was a very tough match to fight in, and they came into 10th place. But we talk about a tough fight. Freemox trio is always gonna be a tough fight, and hey, they have to do well. We haven't really talked about it, but the series leaderboard points, this is one of those trios that have to finish around the 20s at least to be able to get into the semifinals, considering they're a newly formed trio.
Yeah, they're right on the line of the 20s in 20th place. So 35 right now, and they've had what I would say is almost 2 home zones and not done much with them for the moment. Zones that, it just drops right in the center of their POI. Right now, Save It Astro, Rifle, they go for another fight. This always happens. It feels like, week after week, these guys have one very good game. You were mentioning, Sancho, even last week, the 10th overall. They have that one good game, but can't replicate it at least 2 or 3 times entirely. Right now, The 22nd and the 17th to start the day. Not too many points overall. The last game is just played, game number 3. 6th place with 11. But as we watch this go down, Fremont, Wolfie, Letwick in trouble. Pleasant Park strikes again. And this time, it's in the face of Paco and his squad.
Paco, MXR, and Gray were able to clean that up quickly, so nicely. I mean, we've been seeing MXR and Gray come from this region, coming from the formerly known as Stealthy Stronghold, so they're always know how to push into Pleasant Park. Paco, MXR, Gray, they're just within the running. That's all you got to be when it comes to this game 6. Just be within the running, because when it gets to game 6, that's when we see people sneak in. And last time we saw the top 3 go down early, and Kiriachi was able to overtake Tayson, so that was on the line. And I cannot believe that Mappy and Red Rush, and Exterios, they were able to hold on to their first place top placement after going down literally at 33.
I mean, it's always about not, having a previous game's result affect you in the next one. It's all about having that clean slate, looking at the mistakes other people might be making inside your game too, whether it's on broadcast or watching other people's streams, like the way you might be playing. How did it work out in the game you're not in? Can we replicate that after the fact? All that review will happening live as the next game is about to start. Then you bust in there too. You make sure that you're able to, just have a very good game after the fact in that moment. You can't let that 33rd just get you down.
If you're going to have a 33rd, you might as well be in the last game. So you don't have to worry about that. What we do have to keep an eye on is Milan, Wolfies, and Marine, my pick, who went up 12 spots after making it in-game. That's how valuable in-game is. You get those bonus placement points when you cross those thresholds of 25th place, 10th place. You get another one, of course, when you get the Victory Royale. So those are some big bonus placement points there. And, of course, the eliminations are all going to be at your feet. They're going to be all close together. You could go into your box fighting, your zone wars mentality, or Bugha's late game mentality, whatever you want to call it, and be able to rack up those points. And that's what Marine, Wolfies, and Milan were able to do. Now they moved to 12 points, and considering they're sitting in 17th place, they have about another game to work with to get within that striking distance.
Lots of trios under the same type of, narrative like that have to use this game as kind of a pick-me-up. And I feel like many different teams have tried all the way down to 69 players right now. Usually there's so many fights while there's 75 alive over Surge. Surge 6 Crazy and
I'm sorry.
Hunt. Pablo is jump padding, dog padding inside the zone to run away.
Oh, I was hearing Levin's voice, Levin's in my ear right now almost to say, waiting for the masterclass from Pablo, Bloomy, and Tomsy. Well, that masterclass has been canceled, it feels like. All the students are about to go home and they're going to look for some refunds, brother.
They might just get that money back. Pablo, though, finds a way to get all the way away. Meanwhile, we're talking about people taking more risks, trying to have a comeback game here in game number 4 of EU. I mean, I think taking that risk has made a lot of people trip up so far. ADN is finally finding his footing, though, because last game they were the ones to actually trip and fall off of a little bit of a 5th zone high ground with Amplify and Matzo. Lon Wolfies and Marine, too. I mean, Sancho, you're a big fan of this team rolling in today. And at the same time, this team kind of used that bullying tactic, the looking for fights tactic last game very well in that late 4th, 5th zone.
It's just one of these trios. I mean, you talked about Milan, of course, being one of the first DreamHack champions way back in the day. I mean, Marine, I'm sorry, one of the ones you see, Milan, who, needs to be able to catch it. You got, Chapek's getting one and Queasy getting in championship. You think, oh, Milan, who used to be the trio mates, it's an easy team to root for, as well as Wolfies, who was kind of back in the World Cup days, just did a lot of things, came on the scene. You're thinking like, man, Wolfies is definitely, it's his time now. So it's just an easy trio to root for,
Absolutely. And they're trying to play correctly right now. A trio that thrives on, being the bullies, going for those fights, silent for the moment, respectful, because anyone fighting right now is going to be at danger for a third party or at danger against a trio making very risky plays. I think ADN is one of them. Went up against a Versa squad or somewhere near them. Bobby's going to be able to go through, find the knock on the ADN, and finish it. Amplify trades on the Versa. Not sure where this fight is happening, but it's very active. One of the only fights on the map for the moment.
I just have to go back to it. I was just thinking about, Milan. He was trio mates with Mongrel and Mitro. Milan got a lot of guff when it came down to that. It was pointed fingers towards Milan for that trio not working out. So if Milan could go ahead and get in the top 3 with his new trio, that'd be great. Speaking of Mongrel, here he is with Slender and Kiko using that Portuguese connection to hopefully get his way to the top 3. Mongrel as well. You know, a lot of people on the social media was talking about what happened to this aggressive Mongrel. No doubt they're being a very more complacent when it comes to them trying to use that IQ to be able to get into the top 10 and then maybe unleash Mongrel when he does best in those moments. But so far, it's been working. Mongrel on social media has been talking about, I need to get better. I need to get back into that grind. So far, using the Portuguese boys right now, they're doing really well. They just got to build it on that momentum. You talked about it right here. Game 4 is that way to place that momentum and start making way in towards, all together now, striking distance.
Striking distance is what all these guys are aiming for. Funnily enough, too, when getting an update with Mongrel's trio, it's Kiku who has all the elims on it. We saw how, you know, just fried he is right now, rolling into these POIs, just absolutely zoned in, hitting every single shot for more than 100 damage over and over again. And you were mentioning the fact that, yeah, Milan wants to make it through. You know, this is going to be the week, or has to be the week, to prove that maybe he wasn't the problem. We'll have to do it against Mongrel inside the same lobby, which is also very, very cool.
That's what gets me excited as well, is Fastaroki is when we're on board with this trio. Qualifier 1, in the giant battle of Qualifier 1, they came in 5th place, but more on that later because the giant right now has been knocked in the head by David Stone, and Alex is getting on all 4, trying to get back up. He's going to get the res, but it's always, every time I see that name, Andalex 4ZR or X-Swedes on the right side of the elim feed, I'm just like, oh man, especially early, I'm like, not again. Or, you know what I mean? Not again. I mean, these guys, they put on a 25 elimination game 1 and game 2 together, and they had 1st and 2nd place. Levin said it, that's a historical performance. You cannot afford a mudslide situation.
It seems like they just have a little, you know, one energy bar or like 1 meter of energy to put in towards the entire day, and a win like completely almost depletes it. Towards the next game, they have to take so much time to recharge, might make a few mistakes here or there. The Bills aren't as active. The energy just isn't there. They look like a whole different trio in terms of the way they kind of move compared to the game before. They just need that one favorable zone, the one chance to have a little bit of a boost, and get that bar back to be rolling.
Here we are, 3rd place here, looking to get rolling into the qualifiers, into the finals with a top 3 finish. They've been rolling in the qualifiers, just falling short. So the question is, considering that they're now kind of working the way from the backside into the top 3 versus holding the top 3, I think that might be the difference there, Shayo, of having the momentum to work your way through. It's as if, you know, there's a timer and they have to push through versus holding on. And I've always said, I'd rather push through something than hold on to the top 3 placements, because that's when nerves come to factor. We saw when they pushed into a box fight, they were a little bit of gun shy. Vino went down early into that, pushing against Lazen's trio out there south of Believer Beach, and just didn't work out. But now, we talked about the slide. We already mentioned it so many times. Safik, Patrick, and Default, they may slide right now.
Hey, man, they actually can't. Although 102 looks so good for the moment. And I'm looking back at previous weeks, you know, people ended up at 182 points, 3rd place, I believe, in week number 1. That was Hen's trio. And then look at qualifier number 2, 157 was 3rd place overall in terms of points. So 102, although looking very good, looking on pace, you cannot make any mistakes. You still need to get about, you know, 20, 30 points per game moving on right now. Maybe even more than that, which is asking a lot out of all these trios, because the skill disparity just looks so even across the field within this mid game. Towards the end is where few people have boosts here or there. We'll see what happens. Nikovs is one of them. You know, when they're low ground end game, Sancho, they have more elims than anyone else. It's very true, but getting to that point, they've had some trouble. I believe it was this game or one before in Steamy Stacks, Nikov going down early. I mean, it's not consistent throughout everyone's, you know, ride here towards endgame, but if they do make it, they get a lot of points.
Yeah, and those lot of points are getting him into the 6th place within that proverbial striking distance, as by mentioning here. Zone 4 has been revealed. We're getting a little bit of a chill moments right now. Everyone's kind of waiting for their moment to strike as Mariah picks up a knock on Stasio, but things are about to pick up here as a nice rotation being held off. We already saw him get a couple of tags on the backside from the people in the gas station. Nikov, Wallace, and Podosai were coming from Steamy Stacks. I mean, we've seen them. This is their 3rd time in the qualifiers, as we mentioned, so they could get it all together and get in the top 3 as Monster Trio has been eliminated. And hey, 1st place and Link Fury and Irezumi are already out. Devin, Kubix, our previous winners from the game before, out as well.
It's going to be trouble Wait a second for the damage threshold to change. That is the rule. 461. We have to say it sometimes audibly to ourselves, Sancho. I was about to go in like, Future, how? Because
Yeah,
so
exactly.
many, you know, engagements, so many shots fired, but now they have another chance at fourth zone in a position above other trios all the way on height. We see this over and over, but at the same time, for some reason, they don't hold on to it. They give it up. They bait someone else to take this position and then shadow them all the way through the end game, knowing that there's no way height can really pressure us right below, and it works out every single time. So we'll see what Default, Sapphic, and Putrid can do. The residential, basically first place trio for the moment, 116 points to start off the game. What is One lost leak off? We just saw the stat. Most Elam Sancho on the low ground. The question is, can they survive this fifth zone move to get there?
Fast Roki get an elimination on a play well boy right there. So Fast Roki, another big dangerous eliminator in the game, doing his thing, making some work done. 21 trios still up in the feed, 59 players as zone 5 has been revealed. No one, only 2 trios are safely there. And Nikov, One Post have been getting tagged up in the entire time with the rotation. They're going to have to rely on this one right here and maybe survive. But hey, the pressure up top here, not going to let them go. And we already seen a bad launch pad already cost ADN's trio mates. Let's see a Trizox, a KK Wet here, and Sirexo, who are feeling the pressure of the Storm Surge.
No thunder, just lightning right now, but there's so much of it. It's like Zeus is in the skies. There's no chance for any of these guys right now to be able
this whole side
look at each other. They have to shield up or do something. Artor's trying to break in. He puts a launch pad down. He's trying something. I mean, go for it. At this point, Trizox is trying to out-heal game it before people still need to go down, and no one's making any peaks.
He does not have enough minis to hold on to. His 4 people have to go down. He may not survive this pad right now, as you're seeing a lot of lightning strikes going down.
God.
Trying to find anything. Nothing connects here, Shio.
That was a perfect just graph of people flying over. There was a chance for Trizox to come back. KQX are next, though, to do a little bit of damage. No one was shooting back at them, but they don't land a single shot and are still getting striked by the Storm Surge, by the lightning. Trizox, 4 people still need to go down. 1 damage below Storm Surge. Just need 1 pump shotgun, anything. But it's not going to come in. Serenex, though, he pops a med kit somewhere. No, now he's fully down. Oh my goodness, 8 people in the sky, and not even 1 bullet can fly their bodies by. Trizox is out. KK Wet will be soon to follow.
If there is a motto for Fortnite, like the great ninja once said, you got to hit your shots, kid. The shots didn't come through, and the elimination has been confirmed. That trio is out. Now on board with the man that is everyone has their eyes on, no doubt, from all fans from around the world, especially the E region. Mongrel alongside Kiko now have to do this as a duo. Kiko has 5 eliminations alongside with the big Grawl with 1, and they have a max pool. This is going to be something where do they decide to go early? We've been seeing so many people go early and crank up the height as Mongrel is tarping his way to the front side. On the height is Putrix Trio, who's watching Mongrel tarp out, and they got to watch out. It's essentially what's going to happen. A pad's going to happen, and this team is going to basically cap anyone, but the pad gets taken out. A good thing they had another pad in their back pocket. And here we go. Here comes the rotation towards zone 6.
It's time to fly. That's what the zone's about. When it goes off a mountain, everyone just stays in the air. One loss, though. Nakos all the way down towards low. They're picking up Elam after Elam. ZQ and Kazakhs do not survive the filter for this end game. They're not going to be here to see it towards the very 9th zone of game number 4. Paxian 2 taken down by ADN, but wow, 97 default Putric staff. If they actually land down, they touch ground, and they have height again.
They have height again, and Andalix is still in this in-game as well, and 4ZR picking up an elimination on Astro. So the very top 2, 3, and 4 are still in this fight. Wanlas is in this fight. Let's take a look at the chaos that's unfolding in front of your eyes as everyone, hey, height gets chopped again. A big chop is happening, and that wrench turns into a big axe. And Centrix, Default, and Putrick and Sapphic are at to give up height.
Default has so many launch pads still available after 2 scuffed ones this game. Sapphic and Putrick, though, they get it back, and Storm Surge is the ultimate enemy of game number 4, because I count at least 6 to 7 different trios still getting sniped from the sky.
The forecast is pain, and that's the pain that's coming down. 10 people have to go down for the power of Storm Surge, and I can't believe that Sapphic trio is still holding on to height.
They're holding on to hype, but they're only just surviving. Kiko right now is on to his third Elam I've seen in the feed in the last 5 seconds. This man is popping off. He confirms.
He's popping off. Got another one
as well. He's still going, and I'm wondering exactly where Mongrel is with him in the moment. Tayson, though, taken out by Blaster on low ground, so now the entire atmosphere of that layer changes. Jojo also knocked with Tomsy all the way towards the backside. X-Squeeze still alive. Everyone down below is playing an absolute horror game of a side scroller that now goes back towards this history of a developing zone. Sapphic, Putrick, and 917 default. They're quick to climb back, but someone's actually shooting out their heights.
Hey, the masterclass is officially canceled. Bloomy has been eliminated by 4ZR. So now with the bounce back of the storm here, Ziku again. This man is on fire. Can we get a POV on Ziku? This man is on a blaze and he is lighting up everything. It doesn't matter if it's hard mats. It doesn't matter if it's soft mats. Kiko's on fire, baby.
Kiko's still popping off. Very good trap set up though by the Steel boys all the way up top, shooting out their own high ground, leaving it up by just one little wall. X-Squeeze though with 4-0 and Alex don't have the same amount of time to set up traps. They have to get 4-0 all the way away from the backside. Jules with Sun. Sun's down right now in the back box. He's going to be looking for a way to get into X-Squeezes for the moment, but they're going to be boxing him out because Zone's going back towards that side. And Alex low on HP 2. High ground, he can't really have a say into anything right now. There's too many builds all the way around with his bounce back, but Sapphics getting close and personal with it. Looking for those double edits. This might be the wave, and boom! A big shot on the Blaster. He takes minimal damage on the reciprocating feedback from that peak and angle. Sapphics still looking for more at the same time. Nakos is looking to be very close to his teammates, not actually fall with it though. Rifle with the big elims, 3 of them side by side. 4Z are still active, and Jules, I mean, everyone's going down in the speed. There's not enough space for all these heroes to live, and Marine goes down too.
Their first elimination from holding on to height. The bounce back really hurt their height hold. Yeah, they were able to be up there, but the eliminations are not there because everyone's going through old builds as the second elimination knock from Sapphic happens right here. Marine gets eliminated. ADN gets out from the storm side, but we have to keep an eye on the low ground because there in the low ground is someone who's doing so much damage and feeding into it because it's not the high ground, and Sapphic is getting an X-Squeeze and Analyx knock on Mongrel. Mongrel trade with Analyx. Those two are colliding and they get each other out.
Kiko finally goes down right now. This entire server is an inverse Jenga tower from the bottom up. It topples. X-Squeeze down inside the zone. 4ZR is the only one to be able to call this little sliver of a safe place home, but there's no chance for him to live either. Sapphic now has to do the impossible and try to clutch up the Chuck Splash Cannon tech towards the very end. He had the position. He wins out the game. That high ground passivity is the one to make their claim to fame. The Victory Royale.
4 eliminations, right? I mean, well, Victory Royale for this 4th place team. I was just trying to figure out, I mean, we the whole time, double digits elimination Victory Royales for every team that's kind of crossed this finish line. And for a team to come in with not double digits eliminated, it puts a pause for concern here. But hey, considering that they're in 4th place getting the Victory Royale, that's definitely going to get them in the top 3, Shio.
Yeah, I think that might just be a victory, though, because the Royale there, I feel like it's from Kiko's side. I mean, this
yeah.
man is all I could watch the entire time. I got to know, Zeke, Levin, Reese, what did this guy actually do?
Well, Shy Wager, sometimes, as the kids would like this to be called, they're just built different. And I feel like I agree. Kiko is 100% built different in this match. You know, like, it's tough, right? Because you want to say, like, Sapphics, Centric, aka Default Putrick, they had the VR, right? They played this slow, methodical game to get the points. But, like, you're right, man. Sometimes, like, you're just not going to be the star when you've got all of this other stuff happening. Like, there's so much more than just a Victory Royale. Yes, that's going to get you points. Yes, it's going to kind of rocket you up the standings. But when you've got people slaying out, you've got people affecting literally the entire rest of the lobby, Levin, you're going to focus on those people more.
Well, as kids, Zeke, yes, they are built different. That is just the way to put it. Now, I'll be honest, like, you know, you sort of watch them in the sense of Mongrel's show, right? Of course, you know, we talked at the top of the show, yeah, great performance yesterday, but is it going to translate? And it hasn't so far, but a really good game. And that's something to build off of into these next couple of games. I always mention it, 6-game format. You know, 2 good games, you can really throw yourself back into contention. So it'll be interesting to see where they are on the standings after this game. But overall, that was a really sort of hectic finish, a really exciting finish as well. And some of those teams we're going to actually end up talking about in terms of in our package. It was good to see Anderlex's trio come back into fray. 4ZR was able to last it out there till 3rd place. We talked about whether they'd be able to keep their momentum and get back into the rhythm, and it seems like they somewhat have. So good stuff there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, firstly, thank you for classifying me in the as kids, as a 27-year-old. I appreciate that. I really
We are
do.
kids.
Yeah. Secondly, on top of that, like I think you started to hit on it perfectly, right? When it comes to Andalex's team, they were up in the top 3, 12 eliminations. You know, we're talking so much about Kiko's team, Slender and Mongol. They did pop off, but a little bit more storyline relevant was Andalex's big pop off with 12 eliminations with 4-0 and X Squeeze. That is huge, given they are currently in contention for the top 3. So big storyline movements, in particular, like we already mentioned against Safix trio as well. We're just outside of that border. Big victory round, push them back up, probably into top 3.
I like this though. I want to continue this talk of these trios that are performing well, but let's change the perspective a little bit to these like middling trios, right? Trios that we know potentially could make quite a big run here, especially with 2 games left to go. But they're gonna have to make it. They're gonna have to move real hard, move fast.
Well, yeah, you know, Paris, I went and Nico for a team who I said I wanted to see do well, and I thought they would do well, and they have so far. But after that last game, I don't think it went how they would have necessarily wanted it to. Nevertheless, though, they've been okay in the past couple of games, right? 2 5th places, 9 eliminations in both, so not too bad, I guess.
Yeah, they managed to keep themselves in 6th place, but Dandon, Devon, and Kubex were up in like 4th or 5th at this point. Now they've actually kind of dropped a little bit further down. So again, in the next 2 games, they're going to need to catch up big time, even picking up the elimination of the Nikov, which definitely changes the leaderboard around with the teams on them. But Safik, Pudrik, and 97 Default, a team which, again, were in 4th place. We were coming into this thinking, right, these guys are going to have to pop off and do well, and they did, right? And now, look, that's pushed them all the way up into 2nd, with Andalex, Roycer, and X Squeeze still in 1st. And I think for Andalex's team, if they manage just to get a few points in the next 2 games, like that should be a top 3 solidified.
Look, these guys in 1st and 2nd, they are rising to the occasion, Reese. I will put it that way. They are definitely rising to the occasion. And look, Vino, Tayson, Reason, all I'm going to say to you guys, please just don't choke. Like, we've seen you here in multiple weeks now. We've seen you in multiple qualifiers. I hate to put a cluster curse on them or something, but please don't choke. I just want to see these guys get top 3 and move through comfortably. But we've seen it before, Reese, and they've struggled here in previous days.
Absolutely no pressure applied by you. None. Nothing. These guys are, they were stone cold now that you can see the sweat dripping off their foreheads at this point.
They're top players, they're top competitors. If you can't deal with the pressure, then you shouldn't expect us to claim you to be some of the best players. You need to be able to beat the pressure. That is your job as a professional. That is your
100%. 100%. And look, 2 games left. I believe we're not going to see another 4th. I think it's going to be a top 3.
There you go. These guys are the greatest minds of Fortnite. They know how to break it down. They know how to call it. So we'll have to see. We do have only 2 games left. So how will this all unfold? We're about to find out, because we're going into game number 5. Sancho as Shy Wager, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts is, Tayson, take my energy. Sancho, are you with me?
Absolutely. Try to give it as much as possible. But hey, Vino, Tayson, and Reason, they've been clutching it up. They've been clutching up as a duo. They've been clutching up sometimes as a solo. So we've been seeing it throughout the qualifiers. They have 2 games to work with. We talked about it. Levin said it. 2 games is all you need to be able to get yourself into the top 3. And there's a lot of movement coming from the bottom of the board, middle of the board, making their way, inching their way to the top 3. And right now, the top 3 is in control of Fury, IRes, Link. But hey, that only victory out only bolted them 2 spots, and they only had 5 eliminations and a victory out. This is their 2nd victory out, and they got 11 eliminations in the first one. So hey, if they could just do anything close to that, they'll be in the top 3.
11 seems to be the lucky number of the day, the magical one for a bunch of trios. All their double digits are kind of stopping there, I believe, other than just Andalex and Next Squeeze were rolling in with 15, 12, and 10 at times. I think one of those trios to keep an eye on right now is the Mongrels. I know Lynx is on the screen right now. Here's the top 5 as well. 154 points all the way in 1st. 137, those top 2 teams, Safix and Andalex's, they have a little bit of a pedestal. After that, 118, 117, 116. Past that 2, beneath the bottom, beneath the top 5, 104, 100, 99. These guys are neck and neck. It's like a waterfall of points all the way from the top. It's so close that anyone can really make it up that big current, but there's a lot of pressure, especially onto Tayson, Vino, and Reason.
We open up the broadcast talking about this is the last dance, last chance. Well, we've been seeing the song and dance again from the Russians when it comes to Safix and Lynx trio. They have been in this spot before, so they just got to avoid not to trip over their own feet. They got to make sure they stay within this and stick with the band.
And this is Tayson's classic strategy. We're watching in the earlier games. There was a little bit of a wider split overall.
Return to sender.
one of the sides. And yeah, this is the first time I'm actually seeing anyone in all these weeks actually challenge him all the way here at the pier. We saw before Nikov had the little bit of, you know, the escape strategy at Coral Castle. They were worried that Tayson might push them overall, but now we're watching, you know, the clapback happen all the way from Fremont. And you don't usually see people actually do that all the way towards Believer Beach.
Fremont will not tolerate that. Fremont's one of those ones that you shoot at him. We've all been there, from the pubs all the way to arena. Doesn't matter who you play Fortnite with. You all know there's always that player. You literally shoot one bullet, it tags him for like 10 HP. It could even tag him for 1 HP. They're going to come and key you. It always happens.
Key might not come through because a lot of teams are playing super reserved now.
For sure. I'm speaking from my
100%.
experience. I get keyed in that situation.
Not even teams you would expect to get keyed right now in retail. Kiko, instant elimination off drop. It might have been in midair towards Lazy Lake or something. Didn't actually follow up and get the full trio wiped. Now the first trio gets wiped in here, and it looks like it's Scrams. Mon lost as well. Fighting Podesai. Podesai getting swagged down as well, all the way towards the top side. Or fighting with Podesai. I mean, might have been a build knock that came through, but the names are so close side by side. There is trouble at Steamy Stacks.
Yeah, and that trouble is still in the center of the zone. But now we talked about Zone 1's revealed. The home zone team is and Alexa's trio. They have an opportunity to be able to get a great kind of solidification into the top 3. We already talked about on the analyst desk that there's a couple more points to be able to get in. We saw last week, we saw Mappies being able to hold on with 162. The previous week before that, about 4 weeks ago, was, you know, Benji's trio, but they had like about 180 or so. So, you know, they're within that zone. They're at 154 right now. So if they be able to get in like 10, 15, that'll be able to be a good spot for the top 3. But yeah, here it is. I told you, may not be a W key, maybe a little delayed, but Fremont is now storming the shores of Believer Beach.
Gotta try something different, especially in game 5, especially against a team that you know you got big white tags on. The medkit might have been there, but it would have cost at least 10 seconds for Tayson to put through. Vino now down with no shields. This is a big pinch, but at the same time, stoppage in this match right now, Sancho. They're not really diving straight into these boxes. They know who they're dealing with, and they're not fully committed.
What a nightmare engagement for Tayson, Reason, and Vino. They have all to fight for right here. They're in the 3rd place. Again, top 3 get in, and they have Fremont, Glekwin, and Wolfie here knocking on the front door, more like using a battering ram to knock down that door.
Yeah, the builds clash and the sparks fly. Damage from both sides. I think it's Letwick who took like the big one, going all the way down to low HP. He's back up and active though. Fremont will bounce all the way back. Wolfie will also be there. What a funny sight to see. Letwick, he's got an inflatable too. They're gone.
Hey, it's the cattle, man. The cattle moving out, or rotating out, go back home to the home range out there in Coral Castle. And we've already seen the upgrade in that POI. Essentially, you have that launch pad. You could be able to pad right into Believer Beach. And so that is what we saw right there unfold in front of us. And as we see 4ZR squeeze, Analyx, I guess Analyx's name change going to Analata gave him just a little bit of a kind of stat boost as he's sitting in 1st place.
Yeah, setting with records too. These guys rolling in 10 elims plus over and over again. The only game they haven't had it happen is when they got taken out a little bit closer towards that mid-game overall. 26th place in game number 3. Catch-up game for everyone else, the game where things are different. But if we're back down to the real business, if we're back down to high-quality round 4 games of the FNCS, that means these guys have another chance. And Lex, 4ZR, X-Squeeze. And nothing should be able to stop them all the way towards endgame.
Milan eliminated Slender. So Milan's trio landing at the Cami split, pushing right into Mongrel's trio right there. We have to keep an eye on that. Those are 2 big names in the region fighting each other. So hopefully we'll get a taste of that here on the broadcast to see how that engagement's happening as we're seeing Sapphic, Patrick, and Default make the rotation through.
The CL-centric combination actually booped down Link Fury and Irazumi, who had this position beforehand as well. Purple AR with a blue tack and Sapphic inventory. These guys are looking real good on rotos as well. But the big issue I feel like for Sapphic, Putrick, and Default is that once they have height, once they have a position of power, they don't milk enough out of it completely. If I'm looking at their wins overall, recently at least, 5 elims. right off of a bounce back. Actually, let me correct that, because when these guys are in the lead, they do pop off. That first game was 11. The issue is really with the bounce back. The only team we've seen so far, the only team we've seen so far who's been really good off of a bounce back has been Analex, Forge, our next squeeze. They went down, they made it personal, they broke away a lot of builds. They played risky, but it paid off because they got 15 eliminations in the game that they had height control. Now you see the way Sapphic does it, right? So the issue here is that when they had first, they only had 5 elims. They just stayed up there, they played passive, they guaranteed the win, but you're gonna have to do more possibly if you want to hold on to second place.
And what we're talking about, folks, the bounce back in the moving zone when the storm washes over old builds. And when it washes over old builds, the low to mid ground, they go through enemy builds. They have so much coverage. And hey, I already mentioned, we don't have the firepower to break through all that. That's when you get in those 5 elims. But yeah, you talked about lemon squeezing, making lemonade. Basically, they only squeeze a little bit out of that juice and they threw away the rest of that lemon. So not a lot of fruition there coming from that. But hey, we already see Kubex here, Devin and Dan there. They kind of made a little bit of some noise, a little bit of a ruckus. They got 100 points, and right now they're in 7th place. They're within the zone to get into the top 3. And I have to give them their flowers a little bit here, just some little flowers, a little bouquet, not a huge one here, not the grand flowers just yet, because they've been avoiding Tayson's trio, considering that they're coming from that West Coast.
That's their superpower right now, right? Just avoiding other trios. Even in moments like this, I'm actually going to be confident and say they get away from this one. I know this is a big Apex predator rolling in, and they're taking shots from all sides. But if there's a trio that can hide from everyone, it has to be Dander, Devin, and Cubix, because in the game they won, they let every trio fight. Endgame, their vehicle actually takes a big tumble. I'm not sure if they're going to keep getting followed, but no, see, they got away. It's all good. It's fine. No. I lied. Fremont and Wolf are here. They smell blood, and they're not letting go.
Look at this perfect storm of an engagement happening in Weeping Woods. And hey, I don't think any of these trios have the know-withal or wherewithal, basically, to know when to get out of this fight.
They need certain ingredients, though, Devin, Dander, and Cubix. They need 2 trios to start fighting together. That's when they actually end up activating, whether it's a third party or just leaving the engagement entirely. Their specialty was leaving. Why go for the edit? Just run, my man. So you have so much time to buy with Sursix now inside Wolfie's eyes. There's no way they should stay and even go for this engagement. ZQ's there, too. I mean, they're setting themselves up, Sancho, to have another box fight with Letwick. I don't think that's a fight they can win.
All I know is when you add an element into this kind of equation, and that's Fremont, it is combustible, it is chaotic, and that's what caused such a reckoning here in the Weeping Woods cabin. So peaceful, but the full tears are happening right now for anyone taking this engagement. Now, if you're Dandy or Devin or Cubix, you just got to get out of here. It's not worth the fight. You don't have as much of materials. As you're seeing Dandy are desperately trying to get as much metal material here in this basement area. I know you got a legendary pump, man, and I know you may have that confidence, as our good friend Monster D-Face likes to say, half a man, half a player. But it's just not enough when you have Fremont staring right at your face.
It's tough. He always has that unorthodox type of way to just keep being a little bit more aggressive, keep pushing onto a certain wall, overextending a fight slightly, but he's comfortable with it. As that happens, though, Irazumi, boom, he's here too. And it's like a 3-way weird fight going on right now between so many trios, spaced out entirely. Link's by himself underneath the basement of Pablo Winku. Fury's down. Everywhere across the map, people are trying their darn best at the moment to have something happen. Push for a little bit more in every single engagement they're taking.
And some of that, you got to go beyond your best just to get in the top 3. We've seen the resumes of all these trios. I've been looking, doing all the work. You see them make it to the heats, make it to the semifinals. Most of these groups here haven't been able to get through in this new format, going to the finals with a top 3 finish. And Fury, Irazumi, and Link, another team from the Russian side of the world here, who have known to make a slide here in the qualifiers. And right now, they're in 5th place. But right now, it could be the start of that slide.
Could possibly be. Link, Fury, Irazumi used to, the lavish lifestyle of being inside the top 3 coming into a game. And you're right, they're in 5th place. They're no longer in that super upper echelon, but at the same time, they're basically tied for 3rd overall. There's about 8 to 10 teams at the moment who have a chance to be in 3rd place. Tayson's the one that kind of leads the pack with Reason and Vino on that kind of tiebreaker-ish thing, the 10-point, 15-point differential. But once again, 30 points for the VR, points for Elims coming in over and over, and some of these endgame teams racking double digits again and again. Anything is possible for anyone inside the top 10.
Oh no, Irez. I was just listening to the rattling of the bullets colliding against the builds, and Irez gets eliminated by a Balumi. We talked about the master and gets a knock on Jojo. The master class is now starting here in the mid game, and the transition to going between the two may cost one of our Russian teams a top 3 placement. This is only game 5. We still have one more to go, but the pairing of the games are crucial in a games of 6 sets.
Sapphics trio, Aqua's trio, patterns gained, but in many different ways. Yes, they both have 2 victory royales right now in EU, inside the system. But the weirdest thing is inside round 4, right? The way they're doing it, Aqua is just completely dominating on height over and over again, right? And when it comes to Sapphic, Putrick, and ICM Default, they're kind of rolling in that way too, but they also kind of take the safe route sometimes.
Yeah, we no doubt the safest route is sometimes the best route, especially when you're dealing with so many people going from height, but their safe route now is in danger of being upended by the Storm Surge. It's raining down on them. This is a team that's currently sitting in 2nd place, who got a 5 elimination victory royale, dealing with the pressure. They have Mosh on the other side of this wall here, but no advancement into this fight. So now they're gonna have to retreat. They got the minis, but they don't have the tags here, Shayo. They're doing anything that they can to find tags, and the tags are just not coming through. They have a Chuck Cannon, they have about 4 minis on 1 player, but it may not be enough as you're considering that 1 more player has to come down to stop this onslaught from that purple lightning. Oh my.
They're bleeding. They're just bleeding, and Sapphic is down. Putrick, Default, they'll try their best. I mean,
one more.
1 player.
One player. Oh,
it might
no.
just be Putrick himself. It might be Default too. It might just be both of them. They're gone. They're out. And that is 2nd place. Now stopped in their tracks, rolling through. 137 points is what they had. Might be a bit more with placement overall, but they're going to be on pause, and that gives the chance for Tayson, Vino, and Reason. There we go. To clap back and get all the way towards the top. They're in 3rd place. They were looking from the outside in towards Sapphics trio, and now they'll have a chance to climb.
I see what you're doing. You're trying to put them all together in one, like Vizun Sun. There it is. Vizun Sun here. Vizun Sun all working together here, trying their best to get into that top 3. But that was the 23rd team taking out our 2nd place team in Mosh's trios. Just shows you how stacked these trios are. What a big knock. Tayson with the sniper shot against Freemock. You may be an amazing box fighter. You may be crazy with that pump, but Tayson with the lethal elimination there with a great shot of the sniper blast.
It's usually Freemock landing those as well onto other players, especially in the duos type, solo type competitions. But this time, he's the one caught out. Always interesting things happening at Slurpee. I was going to say too that, you know, game 3, game 4, that was the difference maker. That was the catch-up game. We don't usually see this big of a tie in game 5. There's separate islands for everyone to be on. It feels like Andalex, Forza, and X-Squeeze are the only ones on a very high island on their own. Everyone else is just kind of packed in like sardines side by side. Not sure who's going to be picked to be inside the top 3, but it has to be one of them. MXR, 122 points with Paco. They're in the contention. They're in riding. They're in 4th place, right behind Vina.
I'm just amazed at seeing the difference as Zone 4 has been revealed and so many people on the Stormline box fighting. We saw in previous games, so many people kind of scattered throughout in the safe zone. Zone 4, this is a different tale this time, folks. Everybody's on the Stormline fighting box to bite, looking for Storm Surge tags.
The magic number right now for a lot of these teams you see at 100 points, right, to hit for this game, the goal is 137.
I like
Usually
that.
we start this point ticker at game 6 to see who can come top 3, but with Sapphic, Default, and Putrick now out, the 2nd place team, they had 137 points overall. Every team from 3rd down to 8th will try to hit this threshold. Bodasai Nikov one last being one of them. They're about almost 20 points away from it. We'll see if they can hit that mark because we'll have lots of top tier players side by side with the same goal.
And right below that tier is Matzo's trio, Jules' trio, Mongrel, Nakos, and Milan. They need to be able to stay in this end game to be able to have a chance in game 6. Because you already talked about Vino, Tayson, Reason, they're all on their feet. Peko and MXR with Gray, they're all on their feet, so they could kind of push into that top 3 a little bit more here. That's what's at stake here. It is game 5 here, or the qualifiers 3. This is the last chance for the top 3. And after this, it's the semifinals, and it goes into the top 6, and we get broken down into heats. After that, reboot round, and we're gonna have 4 rounds of that, considering that Tayson disbanded with Nate and 4ZR.
We talked about Magic with the numbers. Look at the passion with Fastroki, Karma, and Void too. Quick pickup, but at the same time, retaliation from the other side. Artor's gonna be the one to go down. And yeah, 137 might be the Magic rule. We're inside the industrial zone now, though. The era of Slurpy Swamps, the hydro facility down below. A place where there's lots of, you know, not man-made builds, just game-made entirely to kind of traverse around. It's very difficult on low ground. Look at it. Look at the sites. Everyone in their own little houses. Got their steam engines chugging. This is going to be very, very difficult for anyone to be free-formed and have a chance to make their own layers overall on low ground. This will be a very beneficial zone to anyone in mid. And if we go anywhere towards the right side in this next second, no, we go towards the top left. Thank you. If we went towards the right side, it'd be even more trouble. We move towards the top left, and the majority of people have advantage on zone.
I'm trying to figure out, is Mongrel a solo? He was in a cone trying to scout out this rotation here. He is up above Fastroki, who is right now going to have to decide how to make this rotation. 6 people have to go down, and Storm Surge, the nemesis of this entire EU region, this game set of 6, is now making its return here, already causing chaos right ahead. That's going to be Fastroki's ability to bullseye in, to narrow in his focus, but the beams get returned on the backside. Fastroki has to kind of shell up as fast as possible here to avoid elimination. But not only that, Shayo, time's a ticking. You gotta move, young man. You got 5 seconds and the storm's gonna wash over you.
Hey, the longer you wait, the more chance there is for a pad for someone else to take, but at the same time, they use their own. Fastroki up in the air. The challenge now, take no damage, land in through, and make sure you have a good base. Buzz, Foxy, Egram, they're already doing that. And looks like, you know, Mex all the way up top has an entire base already built out and added onto.
And Mongrel as a solo was eliminated by Blackie.
All right, Blackie takes that one out. Reason, Vino, Tayson once again shadowing someone on height. They haven't had that complete control. They haven't even had that super retake. They've stuck to low ground the entire time, but at the same instance, they kind of fell quiet. A 6th, 2nd, and a 4th. 6 elims here, 4 elims there. Last time, 11th. It looks like these guys have rested long enough. This might be the game for them to wake up.
Now we're taking a peek here, zone 5, and you're just seeing it's kind of like an even spread. That half in, half out, if it goes, the moving zone 6, if it goes up north, that's going to cause a lot more chaos, considering that we're seeing who's going to be able to fight for height here. If it goes south, then you'll see a lot more people being able to have the ability to control it here. So let's see where it pulls. We have some time, and it actually pulls towards the east side here. And look at how many arrows. We're gonna have to keep an eye on who has the advantage. But right now we have Xweez, our first place in the top right, and then we have Tayson on the bottom right in 3rd place.
Hey, clip that and watch it back. Almost every arrow in that zone clapped in just had a triple take all the way towards the right. They looked at the big incline they're gonna have to go over. One of the most treacherous but, you know, low-key zones you're gonna see. It's not gonna be a huge mountain in the way. It's not gonna be a big, you know, steep drop off of a big cliff they have to climb, but it's gonna be a very huge and steep incline over a low amount of time. And look at it. Now we'll start to roll. Mex all the way on high ground. Xweez, 4ZR, and Lex, our first place POV at 166 or 161 points, excuse me. How long can they actually push this for? How much further can they get?
It's all about getting in front of the zone as much as possible. If you want to hold on to height, you said the Mex boys are up there, but Andalex is now rotating and making his way through slowly and slowly going up to high. And this is, you talked about it, a layered type of mountain. It has little plateaus and it goes up a little bit more. So if it continues pushing towards the northeast, expect more chaos to rain down just by the map itself.
They were about 10 stories higher than low ground right now, X-Squeeze, and suddenly the zone's caught up to them. Staying on the same layer, they're now only 2 stories above natural low ground. This thing is pulling up very fast, and Erican, Milan, these guys can't hold on to this very elevation changing high ground, low ground situation. Mex and, you know, the entire Mex trio rolling in, they're going to be fine. They were about 20 stories up on height, but now we're just 10. Everything's closing in, and fast Roki goes down to Tayson, finding his first version of conflict here inside a tarp. A big shot, but it cost them Vino's life.
They're going to go ahead and try to pick up Vino here as the zone is pushing to the northwest. And is this going to be Deja Vu, a team that's on the bottom of the board, be able to win the victory out? This is the 33rd team that's holding on to that height right now. So we got to keep an eye on that team as Boyd gets a knock on Tomsy. Eclipse gets Zico eliminated. The guy that was on fire gets doused out really quickly. And there it is, the height team right there, who is on the advantage here on the low ground. It is Trizox's trio with Ingram there on the front side here. So far, no one's contesting height, with Reason's trio from second from height. As Wolfies has been eliminated, that trio is gone, but X-Squeeze picks some elimination. Tayson goes for that shot and it just misses.
Cheeky play, not gonna land. Tayson 141 points. They won it. Over now. Sapphix overall 137. They've passed the magic number. How much further can they get though? 9 different trios still left alive. High ground's gonna be a threat. They haven't been in this position before. They've been so low, they haven't had to deal with height before. But now that will be their #1 challenge. Mellum, Slove, and Hertig, they're looking to put down the punishment.
Tayson does have a pad. He has a pad, and he may go for the perfect pad. It's about 70 meters. If he could mark it, he could get up there.
And right below them, X-Squeeze, Forzar, and Alex, they're waiting for Tayson to make a move too. They take out Nikov in one last. What a moment for a refresh. Both teams now side by side. We'll see exactly what goes down in the feed. Young Bob, he's looking at getting eliminated too. Tayson taking out Trident. Another big refresh coming in. Looks like they've actually given up their lair, and they're going lower. Reason finds a big finish too. The zone bounces back. Terrible tragedy for height. Everyone in mid ground gets to breathe as they think about what to do next. High ground has to find a way to pierce through these builds.
Ingram is still on the low ground, making his way to the front side, but he's unable to get anybody because all the trios on the mid ground are so healthy right now. Endelex, Nakos, Forzar are picking up eliminations. Nakos, there it is! Tayson goes to hype the pad, but it was just a little short. They hit their head on top of some builds here. They do have one more pad, and they're going to try to get another attempt to take height. It didn't go through this time. X-Squeeze does get elimination on Nakos, so that was huge, but they're still going to fight for it, child. They still want height.
Recuperate all the damage they took from Storm. Looks like they're setting up for it once again, but the mats are running low. 5 on Tayson. Big shot.
It's coming down.
Up top. Going for the double edit, but does not control the cone, so he can't get it just now. The side jump comes in. Another elevation change.
Ooh.
The 100 sidewinder damage. Oh! Down to low ground with a 5 damage shot. It's enough to make it happen. Low HP, but this man makes it happen. Tayson, the clutch god, the clutch minister of the EU, is alive once again.
He says no to fall damage and survives and gets a crucial hit. It's Andelix and Tayson. Andelix, he responds, takes out Tayson. Now Tayson is out. It's up to Vino and Reason. Andelix, the trio's on the top of the board. We're seeing 2 Titans, 2 Giants exchanging haymakers. And Vino, he does it. Vino, wait a minute. Who wins? Vino, Tayson, and Reason. Vino with the clutch. He takes away that victory out from the French team. What a chaotic finish, Shayo.
That was just actually nuts from Vino's side, dropping down all the way towards the very end. 2v2 against the first place team, and they come out on top. Tayson dropped down to low. No hope. Lands a shot before he goes down. Does the damage to Endelex. That shot too gives Vino the chance to one-shot Forzar down below. I mean, that was first versus second in game 5, Sancho. That's all you could ask for.
Yeah, 2 haymakers going back and forth. Vino knocking that KO hit right there, and just considering for Vino having those social media and all that kind of settling it here, right here in game 5. Great work from Vino. We're gonna have the breakdown from the analyst desk. I'm gonna catch my breath. Shadow's gonna catch your breath. We'll be right back with game 6. Take it to the desk.
Friends, I feel like sometimes Sancho enters this zone and it's the most perfect zone where I feel like I'm watching a wrestling match. And that was it, man. This was like for the belt. This was 2 Titans facing off, going head to head, and that was it. Look at that! Ooh, Vino. Listen, friend, the confidence to edit your own build and to say, you know what? I know exactly where these shots are coming from. I'm literally gonna fall, and if I hit the ground, I'm either eliminated to fall damage or that person's gonna eliminate me. Doesn't matter. Let me just put my reticle under a little dome and shoot them in the cabeza. Ugh. I love Fortnite, bro.
No, these guys are good for a win. Every qualifier, they're good for at least the one win. And the timing of this one is so key because coming into this game, they were third place and they were a team who we know they've struggled to actually, get over the finishing line the past couple of weeks. There's no excuse now. These guys have to be able to close out. And in terms of Reese, right? This is somebody who is the sort of the question mark. You look at Reese, you look at Tayson, we know what they are. Vino is an up and comer. He's someone who has shown he has the talent, but he's needed to prove at the highest level. And that is what you need to do to shut people up, to prove you have what it takes at this highest level. And a brilliant game, a brilliant finish.
So that shot alone, I mean, look, we all know that he's already proven it realistically in terms of his talent. Definitely right here now, a bit definitely solidifying that, but let's just wait a minute. That was a 360 to win as well. That he edits his floor, spins 360, hits the shot to pick it up, does it in style, does it with fashion on top of that. And like I said, in the next game, I think they just need a couple points, and they should solidify themselves top 3. Obviously, it does depend on what the teams below them do, but big clutch.
Just because I can't go 5 seconds without talking about him, let's talk about Tayson there real quick. Absolutely electric. But once again, we'll get to it there. We'll get to it.
We got to take a look at some of these trios on the bubble. Trios that need to pull out all the stops in this final game if they want to make that top 3. Boys, break it down for me.
Well, look, we got Link, we got Fury, we got Irizumi. They're a team who, over the course of today, they have been there and thereabouts, right? There's been moments where they look like one of the better teams in the lobby, and then they go quiet for a bit. They are so close. They just need to really give it their all in this final game.
Yeah, we saw them being eliminated to Storm Surge this game, really struggling a little bit, which was unfortunate. Same with Paco MXR. Like, they were so close. They were in 4th coming into this as well, and now they ended up going out in 16th. So as that first zone starts moving, essentially, they made it there, picked up to Moving Surge. So again, these teams are kind of choking a little bit, who are super close to the threshold to qualify.
And then Vino, Reese, and Tayson, a team who I'm sure will be higher than 3rd place.
They were 3rd. They
were 3rd, but now I'm sure they will be higher than that because of that phenomenal win. And we can take a look. They are sitting now in 2nd place, just 1 place upwards. And Alexis Reason Forcio had a phenomenal game as well, though, and that puts them at 202 points. You've got to think to yourself at this stage, they've qualified, they've secured themselves at top 3. But once again, you're right, you never know what happens, but I'm sure they will be feeling a bit more comfortable now going into this final game. Still, though, when you look at 3rd, 4th, 5th, fine margin series, it's really going to be a battle in this final game.
Yeah, this is the story. Vino, Tayson, Reason, almost solidified qual as long as they get a couple more points, probably. The battle for that 3rd slot, Safik's team, going against Wanlast and Paco's team, all so close. If any of them goes down earlier, they're going to be eliminated off and not going to qual. Top 3 is what they need to qual, and it is so close going into the final game. Yet again, like every other qualifier this season so far.
Yeah, and all of those teams are teams who we talked about at the top of the show as being top competitors, being people who coming into this final qualifier, you can expect to put in an absolute shift, and they have. And it's going to be sad that, like, at the end of it, there's going to be that one team that we have to go, yeah, they didn't make it. But genuinely, up to this point, all of them have been brilliant, and I'm really excited to see who will close it out in this final game.
Guys, I don't even know what to say. I'm reeling. That entire Vino 360 shot to end the game has shaken me in my core. The fact this is the last game is shaking me in my core. I don't know what to do. I'm going to go drink some slurp juice, but for now, we're going into game number 6. We got Sancho West. I don't even know what I'm doing. Guys, I'm going to leave. Yeah, good luck, everybody else.
Hey, good luck to all of you, honestly, because right now, depending on which teams make it in, Sancho, that changes up everything for semifinals, for the big finals at the end, and even possibly, the reboot round that comes in. This is going to be one of the best game 6s we've watched, even ever since Qual 1.
Ever since the format changed, we've seen it all come down to game 6, week 1. Week 2, now we got Qualifier 3. It's going to come down to these final moments. The top 3, Andalex, Forziarix, Squeeze, Vino, Tayson, Reason, Safik, Default, and Patrick are all holding on to their spots. And they still have about 3 other trios within the striking distance to come on through. This is going to be exciting. This is what FNCS is all about.
We'll watch Putrick on the glide in. He's going to be basically the defender of 3rd place with Safik and 97 default beside him. 137 points. They were stopped, frozen in time last game off of a rough mid-game fight. As a result, they got no points in game 5 at all. 25th place, 0 eliminations. And now one loss. Podosai and Nikov are right behind them. 5 points away. Astro, though, he starts off strong. Slove also taking out Save It, who might get relegated once again into another reboot round. Rifla taken out too by Melon. The trio last game, Sancho, we saw had such good control of height.
Such good control of height, but so far their woes continue. They're still on the bottom of the board, coming in 30th place into this engagement. Now we go over to Podosai and one loss, and Nikov, the 4th place team, has been having clean engagements. No one contesting them as Steamy stacks, which has been the MO for EU when it comes to Steamy. So far, leaving with a clean slate, feeling good, have an opportunity to get through. So the number that we're all watching is 137, Shio. That's going to be the golden number. Podosai trio is at 132. So now we see a living, breathing threshold, folks. And this is what I'm going to write down, that number, 137 on my notes.
Hey, get ready to write it in pencil or something. It's going to change. Basically, the rule is every time we see Sapphic, Default, and Putric on screen, that should basically be our threshold, our line. While we're watching this game 6, I would say about every 2 minutes, we go back to that trio, see where they are. Unless Podosai, one loss, and Nikov have any chance to, get a few elims here and there. So far uncontested in the last game, which is very good. If they don't get any elims, then they're going to be 4th the whole time. So someone needs to break that 3rd place line. As long as 3rd place stays alive, that's Sapphic, Default, and Putric. At 137 right now, things should be overall fine. That being said, though, who else is in that running? MXR, Grey Paco. I mean, you look at MXR, you look over at this relic of a POI, used to be called Stealthy Stronghold. This man has been here season after season, holding it down against different nations, different trios. Once again, now given a chance, 9 points behind with his teammates to do it once more to make those finals. Usually, Sancho, through semis, we see these guys do very well. They end up fine. They end up qualifying through. But at the same time, today, if they can skip that process, if they can skip even the reboot, I mean, that would be huge.
Exactly. This entire field of trios, there's a lot of resumes that have FNCS experience into the finals. Around Podosai one loss is one of those ones that they're just always there. You see them in the feed, you see them in the the finals, you see them on the leaderboards, and they're always in the middle of the pack. But that doesn't mean they don't have that opportunity to get in to the top 3. Now we're seeing the reveal of the storm here. Zone 1 is going to be in the. This is the home zone. Break it down for me, Shio.
The home zone. Vino, Reason, and Tayson. The one time where the 6th game is not going to actually give them the hardest chance to qualify. The one time where it's finally looking like they're not going to come in 4th place, break the curse they've had this entire season, qual after qual. It's Believer Beach. It's called that because I believe. I believe in Tayson. I believe in Reason and Vino. They have it this game, but at the same time, look at things overall. Craggy has a chance to clap back. Steamy has a pretty fast rotation. That's exactly where Podosai one loss are as well. The south side can rise up. Easily Sapphic, Putric, and Default, they can make it in after they're done their entire loop path, and they're driving fast right now. Moving out of Dirty Docks, past the bridge, full gas, don't even take that bridge. They're going towards the river. They know exactly where they want to be with those chonkers in tow. They want to go straight over to the zone.
If there's one trio to slow down that home zone advantage, that is Fremont sitting in Coral Castle. We've already seen a storming of the beach by them, padding over, causing a ruckus.
I'll put a mirror up though and look at game 5 and 6 and how things were different. They're all the way towards the backside of Coral now. They're not looking for that advantage south side position they were holding against Tayson before. Everyone is going back to the safest play they can make to get out of early game. That being said, many teams have gone down so far, 5, and we're almost over to 76 before the first zone even closes.
If we see anything in the feed involving the trios of Fremont and Tayson, we have to take a look at it immediately. Yeah, Tayson has 168 points and he's well ahead of 3rd place, but we've seen it time and time again when it comes to game 6. If you go down early, especially right now in the early game, that's going to leave the door open for someone to sneak in and take your top 3 spot.
Now imagine, you're playing the FNCS, Sancho. It's game number 3, right?
Yep.
It's just ended. You have a 4th place with 11 eliminations. You have a 3rd place with 11 eliminations. You have a 10th place with 5 elims. You're looking so good, so confident. You're in 1st place overall. You're Link, Irazumi, and Fury. And suddenly, 2 more games pass by. You hit a 25th slot with nothing. You hit a 26th slot with almost nothing to leave with as well. That's the story of 6th place overall right now. About 20 points behind overall where they should be, their rightful spot in the top 3, but at the same time, only 3 teams can make it, and there's so many that deserve it. Right now will have to be the difference maker. Once again, 137 is what we're looking at right now. Sapphic and the centric default with Putric is what we're looking at right now as well. And many teams have had stories today. I think the most heartbreaking would have to be Fury, Link, and Irazumi.
Facing that other slide, no doubt they didn't want to listen to that Calvin Harris song ever again, because it's the 2nd time that they're sliding down out of that top 3. They just got to put together and make sure that they get another one right here. It's on the line as Putric does get a knock, so that's going to be great for that Russian trio to be able to put a little bit more. We'll keep an eye if they get that eliminations. Every elimination is worth 2 points here. Yes, there's another one, 2 points right there. So now the threshold goes up to 139.
And there's one last little fine print detail I can talk about right now in general. It is relevant because there are teams dropping like flies all around. Series points are a big thing this season, right, Sancho?
Yeah.
And certain players might have just jumped in for the first time in the round 4 or needed a certain placement overall today. Some of these trios, JoJo's, who we've seen go down here and there, he needs 26th overall. They're currently in 28th place. I'm checking if they've been taken out. Looking, doesn't look like completely. Not
They're
yet.
still up.
They still have a little bit of a chance. Yes. Some other ones. The Slove Boys need 23rd overall. The High Ground Demons are in 30th overall at the moment. There's a bunch of teams who are basically on this overall bubble that need to move in. We'll see exactly how things go. The analyst desk will be great at breaking them down entirely overall. I still want to focus, though, on that top 3, on that top 6. This is what will take these guys straight to finals. Tayson needs to do it. Irazumi is down.
Oh, no.
Ingram is fighting in his box. It's all up to Link. And I think in a 1v2, yes, or a 1v3.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. He's all by himself. He does have the mats. He does have the firepower to hold on. He can retreat if he has to, but he's going to decide to take the fight. Armed with that legendary pump, he's going to go for height. It is Vox here on the other side. Doesn't get the box in. Hey, he almost did. He almost boxed him in. He has control. He does get a big hit against Vox. Yes, gets the knock confirmed. Gets to hold on as much as possible. Top 3's at stake. 69 tag down below to Ingram. A lot of piece controls here for Link, and he's going to try to clutch for his team as much as possible. Ingram's on the other side here. Let's go, Link. Can he hold on?
Almost there. Egram going all the way towards the top. A storm fight that could change his life. He's hit every single shot so far and has the HP advantage. Egram knows the tech, though. That's his own move that Link's trying to use against him. That sideways jump shot over and over, 2-3 times repeated. It's not going to happen. Both teammates, both players going to have a chance to basically take a little bit of time and heal up before colliding again. Link, though, 3 mats, 2, 1, none. Picks up a few more, though. Can almost find him. There it is. A huge refresh he needed. And maybe now he can survive the whole way through. I mean, the issue right now, Sancho, is even if he wins this fight, this is a sad state to kind of talk about. He's got 1 card. I'm not sure if he has 2 overall, but he's going to have to find something inside the zone. There's purple arrows waiting on the left. It seems like the Reaper's already at the door. It's over for Link. Even if he gets out of this, he has to win another 1v3.
He did pick up both cards. He just picked up the second one of his trio mate. This is the solo clutch you have to do. Sometimes it comes down to
Wanlust.
Wanlust picks up Ingram on the other side. So Wanlust's trio is going to be sitting there greeting Link with open arms. And that is the 6th place team in shambles. And we go from one Russian tail to the other. And this is 3rd place. Sapphics looking very strong so far. HP a little bit hurting with Sapphic here, but no trios in sight. Other stories unfolding here. The rest of the pack. Paco is within that way. He can make his way through. Sitting at 5th place. Is sitting at around 133 points. So Paco's team is making a move, and that may okay. Wanlust is still just ahead of Paco right now.
Yeah, Wanlust still had a Paco, and at the same time, Wanlust just got elimination onto Egram, so he's gonna edge even closer towards Sapphic and Putric. Every elimination now that these 3rd place to 7th place teams get is going to be huge. Sway things closer to them. So another one waiting in tow for Wanlust, put aside Nikov. If Link ends up going down, if he actually ends up rebooting people entirely, then goes down again, it'll be trouble. But no, it's Nail, Giannis, and Kane on his walls. 127 points right now for Link. So close on the brink, but right now still lost in that purple storm. Kane looking at playing a little bit of defense, winning at the time. I think he's got some heals to waste a lot of Links, but Link is not interested in playing the waiting game. He'll go for the push.
Link's gonna have to throw everything at the kitchen, including the kitchen sink here, just to be able to survive this engagement. He has to think his way through because he's gonna try to use his permanent pad just to get through. He wants to save as much as possible here because he's gonna pad over to another side, get a reboot van. We already seen Taste and Vino here. Look at this, 12, 10 HP. 9 HP. He's gliding through. He sees the end game. The storm is moving away from him. Even if he lands, he's going to have to throw another pad. He makes it through. You got to get down. Get down. Build and throw another pad as fast as possible. That's your only chance. He finds some fruit and veggies here to be able to last a little bit longer. God, the bananas keep him alive. Mushrooms, they keep him alive. What There's a great play. There's no way. Link is going to get the reboot as well. This is what the FNCS is all about. Throw everything at it, including that kitchen sink, baby.
Possibly the pantry for this moment when Marines catching up to him and has the same idea. I don't see his teammates beside him. Where's Wolfies? He's looking for that reboot. He gets tagged on the way through. So now multiple trios, JoJo's included, who needs this. Qualifier series.
Oh, the tree.
The tree. Maybe his teammates can chop it down. Yeah, but he's going to be lost over here. 29 damage. Really good to keep up on Surge, which is not going to be a thing right now, but maybe in the future if these guys end up living out. Fury, though, no shield. Every shot will be lethal. Will hurt even twice as more. 6 HP in the storm. I resume he's going down. Fury with a frown. He's off again, and Link gets taken out. What a valiant effort. Think about who got those elims, though, Sancho. Podesai, Nikov, and Wanlas will need a point check on them because with that, they might take over Sapphic, Default, and Putrick.
6th place gone. That opens the door for Fast Roki, Karma, and Void, who are in 7th place into this fight. Now we're seeing a kind of a score check. This is the 3rd place team, 144. Getting beamed a little bit.
Are they in 3rd place, though? This is the POV I want a first-person perspective of, or I guess a 3rd person. Yes, they still are. Podesai, 141. The Sapphics, 144. So a 3-point differential. 2 elims can change the pace of everything.
Remember, Paco is still back there at 133. And we already seen Fast Roki have the ability to get double digits and get the Victory Royale. So Fast Roki, even though he's way behind, that is what's going to take for Fast Roki to qualify. He's going to need a Victory Royale and some high eliminations to get in. So that is that qualification condition.
Here's the issue, though, right? All these double-digit elim endgames we're seeing, they happen when the server is popping, bumping, stacked. Right now, Sancho, it is not as thick at all. 58 players in the 3rd zone.
Wow.
I don't feel like these endgame double-digit elim variations are gonna come through, but Podesai shot will. Jules, take a seat, my man, because these guys want it.
Podesai with the long distance shot, and that could be his shot to get him in the top 3, because like we said, eliminations matter, and now that top 3 is in danger. It is Blaster, Yuxo, and Nakos. They're coming in. They're gonna crash down this party hard as Patrick gets eliminated. Now it's up to Sapphic and Default. The lobby focus is now coming in to clean up the scraps here. Another Russian team in danger of sliding out of the top 3. This is bad, Chayo. Really, really bad.
Disastrous. Putrick down. The 3-man operation these guys have of control, of playing passive, of sticking to the rules is not going to be there for the moment. They're going to have to go off the rails. They're going to have to completely adapt. There is no reboot van in sight. This will have to be a 2-man show from Sapphic to hold on to qualification. And now if he goes down, Sancho, Sapphic and Default end up just eliminated off of one of the toughest rotations in the game. The Believer beachside beat, the Core Castle type wave. I mean, you need mats for this. You need players. You need numbers. And they're 500 down.
I mean, man, the checklist is vast. You need mobility. You need everything at your disposal to survive this aquatic in-game. And we already talked about it before it gets wet and wild right now, as Paco has the ability. Paco has to know that he could definitely get into the top 3 alongside with MXR. But Gray goes down. He gets knocked. Tomzy and MXR now is on a full white line movement here to defend the teammate to get a revive right now. This is not, again, top 5 in shambles.
Lumi's on the back walls. This man's been such a problem, a thorn in every single rosy dream all these trios have towards that top 3 line.
That green tack's not going to be enough to put on a defensive hold. That's not going to be enough when a full trio is knocking out your walls.
Yeah, 2v3, you need the potential for the 1 pump. We saw how well it worked for Link. even him in such precarious situations made it work, but they're gonna need much more firepower to break out of this one. Meanwhile, X-Squeeze only pushes the lead. Another elimination for these for that trio. 202 and more now all the way at the top. Sapphic, Default, the only ones alive. This is the most important perspective right now. These guys are in third place. Top 3 is the cutoff for who can make finals out of this qualifier so far. To the 33 teams playing here today, this is the final qualifier for Europe. After this, next week we'll have the semifinals and the reboot round. Story for Sapphic though is not over. Is Nakos in their builds?
He's there. He's close. He's within their box, but he's just showing you that they don't want to edit. They don't want this fight. They're relying on placement points, Shio. They don't really want eliminations. They just want to survive to in-game and get as many placement points as possible. Yeah, you could have an enemy in your builds, but it's not worth opening up that edit to take a 50-50.
And this is a very different Qual 3-2. Before, that third place team, they have 10 points of breathing room. They have a little bit of things, you know, some space to work with. They have so much of a little bit of a leeway in this final game. The issue is, One Lost Podesai are 3 points
Another
behind
knock.
Sapphic.
Another knock
comes in for One Lost. That's another 1 point behind. If One Lost gets this elimination, if he fully secures it, if he gets the siphon, it'll be huge. Sapphic, though, is taking open edits at other players. They see the Elam feed. They see One Lost getting knocks. They know what's going down. So
they got Young Bob.
Absolutely genius strategy. And they get the elimination.
Oh, no.
They get clapped back, trying it from the backside. Finds one wall open on Sapphic, and he takes another shot from the left. He has to find a way to get all the way back. Wants to make sure he stays safe. No player can go down. They can't afford to take so much damage either. They have no big pot, Sancho. Only minis. They don't have the HP needed to maintain this over time. It looks like Centric Default has a few. He's gonna jump back in. They want more elims.
They need this because One Lost is right on their backside, really close, nipping at their heels with every knock elimination. I don't think One Lost got that confirmation that we're looking for, but Young Bob's elimination from Sapphic Trio may be just enough to give him that buffer that they need. Again, you're seeing the different tails scoring. They were playing for placement. They decided they got to be a little bit more aggressive, so they went and got Young Bob, like you mentioned. They caught him on the backside.
And look at One Lost, 3 eliminations now. The man with the sniper, the man with the dream, the man who's making this all happen in between. They're at 147 points. I feel like that is actually
I think that's enough.
Exactly
yes.
what Sapphic has.
I think so, yes. Sappic's at 146.
Okay, so 147 is the new third place line. Podesai, One Lost, and Nikov will draw it there. At the same time, other people in the fray, MXR, Paco, they're looking to still clap back. And they're right here beside Sapphic and Default. They want to eliminate this duo beside them. They want to take out the people below them, but once again, Gray is down. It's a 2-man up.
I got to bring this up. Look at the pool. The pool's nasty. It's all in the water. They got to figure out who's going to go first out of all these rotations here, folks. In 4 seconds, you're going to have to figure out how they're going to answer this problematic rotation. I don't know, man. MXR and Paco as a duo, they could glide through. Let's see how they take it. Looks like they're going to go some flight. I hear some pads. Nakos takes it. They're going to use this community pad. But Paco, he's in trouble. Sapphic catches Paco as he's leaving. And that's a huge elimination. 156 points.
No!
But Default can't get out. Default's hitting his head. But that was a great engagement. 156, Shio.
They're so late coming in. 156 points, a huge swing over to their favor, and no one sees them run in. That
wow.
was a mission impossible that these guys just pulled off. Default and Sapphic might just have enough in the tank to hold on to third place. 156 points will bring them right back there.
That was a great play. They baited that community pad, understanding that so many different people would have their eye on it. They were able to capitalize that, get some huge eliminations, and every elimination is worth 2 points. And now we're going to take a look at the rest of the feed to see where is One Lost, what are they doing, because that's the only team that's going to slow them down.
Yeah, there was a 3-legged race. Sapphic actually dropped down, might be troublesome for him right now. He's getting focused. Needs to get help back up from Default. There it is. It's fine, but he used wood builds to fortify that, so they know that these guys are in trouble. It's all on water. This zone basically doesn't exist. Default tries to stay alive all the way towards height. He has to find a rat little box to hide in. It's not going to be possible. Just wood builds now. Every time he's going to build past this box, the eyes will be on him. 156 points for Default. A solo man keeping the dream alive. Podesai, One Lost, and Nikov must be tap dancing in their box because they just watched Sapphic go down.
Default solo has to clutch here. Default trying to mature his way into the finals here. The top 3 finish is on the line. All lives are on default right here. Now he waits. He's on the backside. He does have a pad here if he decides to move. He's going to make his movement here, going down to low. No eyes on him so far. No eyes at all. He's going to sneak on way through, Shio. I can't believe this rotation is still happening and no shots have been sent this way. And he's going for an elim.
Pay attention to the top right. One mistake from Centric Default, and their finals run is put on pause. They will not be able to qualify. I feel like Bodasai will have enough in the tank to clap back. Here come the shots. 22 builds, all just with wood. Default is still untouched. Disturbed. Is there like an invisibility potion I don't know about for the moment, because no one is looking at Default right now, and he's getting free shots on everyone on the entire server. A box, though, that he wasn't sure was safe. It's not. There's a triangle. And everybody finds a way to make it by, and still no one's shooting him. 120 HP. Another fight near the storm. Default. The tournament run on the line here, looking for the next shot, does not find it. Another one inside his box. Default goes down at 156 points. Podasai Walnuts and Nikov need 6 points, 3 elims to get the third and maybe clutch that EU final spot.
Also, they just got to stay on their feet. The placement points were able to get them through as well. They are on the low ground, but look at the builds. Podasai is plumb out. 1 build to his name. You had 80 and Matto on height. Tayson gets eliminated, but we have to focus in, zero in here on this trio. It is the only one that could take away Sapphics, and that was a big one right there. Podasai on Sorrentos gets a big elimination, and that may be enough. 153. They still down by 3 points, Shio, and every bullet that comes through, every bullet that sweeps through, one less goes down. They're only behind by 2 points. It's on the line right here. And you see Nikov, he's going to get knocked soon. So it's all on the shoulders of Podasai. Only with wood builds in his back pocket. He's going to have to hold on as much as possible, as Zone is going to push right over him.
Tied though, 27 HP and 156 points. Both teams locked, frozen in time. Can any other one move forward?
Sapphic has the tiebreaker. The 2 victory royales were huge. So Sapphic, no doubt, may be able to lock in at the top 3, but it is Fast Roki with 143 points, with the ability to pop off, and he has the chug cannon. This is going to be something we all have to have our eyes on now.
12 more points needed. Another elimination comes out of Fast Roki. 3 now. 7 for the entire trio. 4 Zior deleted as well.
Oh no.
It's in scope. It's in sight. Sapphics winning the tiebreaker right now at 156. Another man in his box, but Fast Roki doesn't care. 153 points now for the big man. Down to 40 HP. Somehow survives as that chunk cannon still in tow. Another box, another trio, another almost wipe. 1 point away for Fast Roki's entire trio is alive, and they have height. They've got height and the potential to even win this game out. Fall damage taken. He doesn't mind looking for the next shot all the way aquatic, but now we're back onto the beach. No vacation for Fast Roki, though. It's time to get to work. 157. They've clinched 3rd place. They're going to the EU finals. Fast Roki is looking to win out this game. A 3v2. They've done it. Drop down onto Amplify, and what a clutch victory royale.
Big time, 10 eliminations, the double-digit victory royale. Like Shio said, it gets them into the top 3. It's game 6. It always comes down to the last moment, and that is the run we've been talking about. That's the run we've been telling you to watch out for. And Fast Roki, they get in with a great performance.
They had 113 points in 7th place to start this game. They made up so much, all the way to 159, to 160 almost. I mean, that has to be akin to some of the biggest EU clutches we've seen in the qual, and they've earned that, Sancho. They earned that over the seasons.
That was their win condition, or their qualifying condition to get in, and they got in. But what a great 3 weeks of qualifiers that we just witnessed, Shio. And if that lets anything, if that's just the appetizer to the semifinals, holy, we're going to have a great show. For myself, Sancho West, and Sio Wager, thank you so much. We're going to have to kick it to Levin, Reese, and Zekamus Prime to break down all that action.
I'm gonna throw my freaking desk, bro. Yes. Oh my gosh. This is why I live for Fortnite, man. I'm telling you, it always goes down exactly like this. Game 6, you think, oh man, I know exactly how it's gonna go down. This team's they're gonna keep people out. They're gonna do this. No, it never goes that way. My goodness, we gotta take a look at the final top 3. We already know which 3 teams are going on through. That's right, X-Squeeze's trio, they held on. They came in super hot. They never stopped going. Tayson finally Levin, it happens. He qualifies straight through, but now Fast Strokey, Karma, and Void, they're going through as well.
What a finish. What, like we spent, all of that game, we were looking at some of the teams thinking, oh, have they got enough wins? Have they got enough wins? All of a sudden, right, after one last team's gone down, by the way, that took out a piece of my soul, you just see the Strokey's team just on 155 points. You're thinking, oh my goodness, wait, they can actually do it in contention, and they do a brilliant day. Look, the finish is amazing, Reese, but we have to acknowledge the fact that Andalex, Forzi, and X-Squeeze have just had an all-time performance. Like, this is a record-breaking performance in many different ways. A brilliant day, right? Total points 234, more than anybody's accumulated on any region in any qualifier in Fortnite Chapter 2, Season 7, or whatever we're on. I can't even remember where we're at now.
It's a mouthful, don't worry. It's a mouthful, don't worry.
A mouthful of a performance it was, Reese.
It was. Look, they had an average limit. Look, hold on. No, let's do the stats here before I add more to it, right? 10 plus elimination games. Four games where they had double-digit eliminations out of 6, which is incredible. 31 eliminations against the top 10 teams, which is more than any other team. No surprise, because they had so many elims. 54 total elims, which, if you're doing the maths, is 9 eliminations per game. 9. Usually when we see players win their region, they're getting somewhere in the 6 to 7 range, which is hugely ahead. But they have 9! 9 points! Average eliminations per game. Like, that is genuinely incomprehensibly
more
high.
than anybody else on any region. It's like we're talking, sometimes we bring records and it's like, yeah, nobody's done that on EU, but somebody over in Asia or overseas. Nobody anywhere in the world has performed the way these guys perform today. That is what you call an elite performance. And now, if you're somebody else, if you're someone who's already qualified for the finals, if you're someone who also qualified from last season, if you're someone who's going to try and make it through semis, you're thinking to yourself, oh, I don't want to mess with those guys. Okay, if they're going to play like that, I don't want anything with those guys, right? These guys are on one right now, and I hope we get to see the Swarm in the finals, because what a performance it was.
Oh my gosh, guys. This is it has been a fantastic showing from EU in qualifier number 3. I mean, we got to relive some of the VRs on the day. I mean, I just can't believe that this day began. Like, if you had asked me how I thought this day was going to go, it was not like this. And that's what I love about these qualifiers, right? The moment you start pulling people out of the pool and saying, okay, you're just going straight to finals, all other trios can just step up and say, okay, now is my opportunity. You've given me the chance to go full send right now, and I will not disappoint. Here we go. It's all 6 VRs from the day. Gentlemen, walk us through it.
Look, I talked before last game about us coming into this and having to talk about there being a team who was so great but just wasn't going to be able to make it, and this is one of them, right? Default, Safik Pucci, they started off the day hot. They took out Andalex. Andalex, by the way, in this game had a crazy clutch, and that was a sign of, what was to come for those guys. But unfortunately, Safik Pucci and Default weren't able to do it. But in the next game, Reese, that's where Andalex, Squeeze, and Forzi really announced themselves to the rest of the competition.
And in a record-breaking manner, too. You have to remember, in a record-breaking manner, 15 eliminations, 60 points total in this first game. Like, as you mentioned, a second in the first, they set the scenes. We were worried a little bit that they weren't going to be able to carry on those that kind of streak all the way through the games. And should we have been worried? Probably not. And veterans like Andalex, X-Squeeze, and 4ZR will perform when they need to. And look, hopefully, like you mentioned, we see that in finals as well.
Yeah, and look, game 3, this is the one game where they didn't do too hot, but nevertheless, right, they were able to come back into the fray. It was in this game, right, that, our good old friends Cubex, that trio, were able to show off what they could do. They finished in the top 10, I believe, and so, not too bad, a good foundation to build off of going into the semis. They know that they compete with the best of the best, but it wasn't their day, right? It wasn't their day, that's fine, right? That is fine. Sometimes you don't, necessarily have your best day, but it was a very impressive win from the low ground for these guys.
Yeah, and looking at the same kind of thing, right? Putrik's team along with Default and Safik, you cannot deny that these guys had a fantastic day. So good. In this game, I think it was game number 4, they managed to pick up Victory Royale with only 4 eliminations, which is pretty low for them, right? Because we've seen them pick up some much higher elimination games throughout the day, and they just fell short. 156 points. You know, if they managed to clutch on in the end, that really could have been the call for them, and it seemed like they were basically in the running for it for the majority of the time as well. So it's a shame to see them not qual, but like I said, there's only 3 slots. Not every team can make it through.
Yeah, no, they want to further their games in the day, but they just couldn't get, you know, a third of the placement. Like, they just couldn't be, they couldn't be in that top 3, sadly. But that happens sometimes. It does happen, and you know, these disappointments do happen. What wasn't a disappointment was Vino, Tayson, and Reason coming through with the clutch. Absolute ice in his veins, cold-blooded, and look, this is now a team who we don't have to worry about whether they're gonna have any funny business in the semis or in the region run. They are gonna be in the finals, and rightfully so. One of the best teams in the region, regardless of what's happened in previous weeks. They have solidified themselves as that now.
Yeah, we know Vino had a bit of nerves, and hopefully that'll solidify them, right? They're gonna be comfortable with that now. But look, we can't not talk about Verstroki, Karma, and Void as well. The 10 elimination Victory Royale to end things off, to put them into the qualification in the final game. You just love it, right? A story like this is so good. A clutch this big, the big victory on the last game, just putting them into that threshold from 7th all the way up till that 3rd is so good. And look, that's them, 163 points. Huge congratulations to all the top 3 teams making it through.
What a day, Reese. What a day. You look at some of these teams and you just think, you know, honestly, some of the most entertaining games we've had throughout all the qualifiers, you know, saving the best till last the players were. And look, like I said, right, you can see there 156 and 156 for 4th and 5th. Look, I thought it was going to be a battle between those two, right? I spent most of the end game watching these two teams thinking, okay, well, he's gone down, okay, are they going to be able to overtake? All of a sudden you get Verstroki coming out of nowhere. That's what you do with great teams. Verstroki, Karma, and Void solidifying their spot. But for those teams that barely missed out, they do have the semi-finals. They do have an opportunity to still make it to the finals. And I'm sure a lot of these guys will be looking at the way they performed and be thinking to themselves, yeah, we can definitely take it. We are definitely good enough.
100%, including like Safik's team, one last team, you know, along with Paco's team too. They're definitely saying we performed really well, and we can do that in the semis, and we can make it to finals and do well too in that same spot. So also, like, Amplify, Aiden, and Matzo had a big game in the end there too. They were the ones who were picked up by Verstroki, Karma, and Void, and they managed to fly themselves up until 7th, which was really good. So a lot of the teams had a big performance, but yeah, again, they've all been outclassed. Let's be real. With that teams like Andalex, Sports, and X Squeeze, you got Vino, Tayson, and Reason. So good. They've just kind of hidden all the performances from everyone else, despite how good they were.
Yeah, and look, we talked about the fact that for some of these teams, you know, there is going to be a second opportunity. Well, let's take a look at how you actually get that second opportunity, right? We do have the series leaderboard to show you. This is what, you know, all of the players who weren't able to get top 3s are competing for, right? You want to be in the top 99 on the series leaderboard.
Yup, and look, this, remember, must stay firstly. This will be available till August the 25th on the website, but at the same time, this is not final. So this roughly looks to around 250 points if you've got that many series points. Should be the qualification to get through to the semi-finals, but just remember, keep an eye out. This may not be final this time, but still, if you're out there, if you're wondering if you've qualled, add up your series points. Here we go.
Yeah, look, ETQ snagged us. They're gonna be sweating.
They're gonna be sweating, right?
They're gonna be sweating buckets, and they're sitting right on that threshold. You know, you don't want to be there, right? You don't want to be there. You want to make sure you're nailed on in the top 99. But that's essentially where people are going to be looking to be, right? You want to be in there so you get a chance to play in the semifinals, which is going to be taking place next week, right? You know, Zeke, you were a bit upset earlier, Zeke, about the qualifiers over. Oh my God, it's qualified 3. Oh my God, I'm gonna miss you guys. No, you don't have to miss this. We're gonna be here next week. And we're here for 2 days instead of the 1.
That's right, but also 2 weeks back to back, right? So Fortnite fam, this is important for you guys. Remember, next week we're here Saturday, boom, semifinals, reboot round Sunday, bang. Next weekend after that, finals, 2 days back to back. We're hanging with these two. We're hanging with Shio West, Sancho West, Shio Wagered. I still don't need to figure out what their combined name is. I'll get there eventually. My goodness, EU, you did not disappoint. You beautiful region. It has been a crazy 6 games. For Fortnite fam, that means the competition is done, at least for now. least for this week, and at least for Europe. Don't forget, we're going to NA East rather. Reese and I, we're gonna jump aboard the battle bus and head that way. As always, please. I know. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Levin. You know, as always, guys, please give these two a follow. Give Shio West, Sancho, Wager a follow. I still don't know. Just give those guys a follow because we love them, and without them, it's not possible. For now, though, we're gonna step away. We return NA East on deck. So, you know, Reese, why don't we go get in the battle bus and talk about what we want to do? So, Reese, here's what I was thinking. Okay, we go ahead. We get on the battle bus, right? Okay, so then, well, as soon as we make it to NA East, we do our thing. Okay, we leave Levin here. Okay, yep. And then we go ahead and we go talk about this other stuff, right? Okay. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know when this bit's gonna end, but yeah.